during the formation. If the phalanx is breached, bowmen won't have time to react. Reserve troops must first intercept the intruders, buying time for bowmen to prepare. Chang Yaoji nodded, enlightened. I see now. How clever, first shields, then spears, then bows. This is a truly effective formation to counter cavalry charges. Ling Jing also nodded, indeed. Compared to horse traps or caltrops, Lord Qing's heavenly gang phalanx does not require advanced layout, only shields and weapons, plus formation flag training, before deployment. Li Er laughed heartily. Truly Lord Qing brings surprises and invaluable methods. Now that the formation has been demonstrated, let us return to Taiji Hall and ennoble Lord Qing. Qingxiu nodded slightly, others agreed, and the group soon returned to Taiji Hall. Since Li Er did not dismiss court, no officials left, they waited inside the hall. Li Er returned to his throne and first drafted an imperial edict. Then he announced, Lord of Lantian, step forward. Qingxiu advanced one step and cupped his hands. Your subject is here. By providing cannons and grenades of divine power, you have multiplied the strength of the Tang army many times over. Your merits are far-reaching. Your contributions are comparable to the stabilizing pillar of the nation. I hereby elevate you to Duke who guards the realm, Shenghua Ho, first-rank marquis, equivalent in stature to prince of a commandery. At this, all officials were astonished. Duke who guards the realm? What a supreme honor, a marquis elevated to national duke status, even sooner, to prince rank. Li Er, not giving a moment's rest, continued, Lord Qing provided the one-day troop training method, dramatically shortening training time, and the heavenly gang phalanx to counter cavalry. Both merits are hereby jointly rewarded. Regarding Xiangqing Gong, who remained unmarried, virtuous and diligent, new Lord Qing had repeatedly accomplished great deeds, so I have decided to formally match Xiangqing Gong with Duke guarding the realm. Choose an auspicious date before mid-autumn for marriage. Though Qingxiu had done all this not for reward but for an easier life, the prospect of a beautiful wife was welcome. If anyone seemed least pleased here, it was Xiao Yu, the son of Xiao Rui, who had unsuccessfully sought to marry Xiangqing Gong several times. Xiao Yu's face looked a bit unpleasant. When he thought about how he was still able to remain in the position of left chancellor, it was entirely because Li Er was preserving the face of his father, Li Yuan, and didn't replace him. At this moment, he could only swallow his anger. Next, Qingxiu explained to Li Er the level of danger and precautions of the gunpowder. Li Er personally took notes. Li Er placed the jade brush on the dragon desk, smiling broadly. Today is destined to be a day that rewrites the history of our great Tang. Not only must I remember it, but all of you must remember it too. If none of you have anything to report, then I will end the court session. Li Er glanced around, and seeing no one speak, gave Wang De a signal. Just as Wang De was about to announce the end of the session, Qingxiu said, Your Majesty, I still have something to report. Oh? Li Er asked with a smile, what else does Duke Shen have to report? Qingxiu saluted and said, a few days ago, my auction house held a sale at Baiwei-ju, and a set of wine vessels engraved with poetry was auctioned off. The Turkic Princess Ashina Yu won the bid with a price of 90,000 strings of cash. My auction house has a rule, the item must be paid for and collected within 3 days. Now it's been more than 6 days, and the Turkic princess still hasn't sent the money to collect the item. The officials were in an uproar. What? Baiwei-ju is actually run by Duke Qing. No wonder the food at Baiwei-ju is so delicious, it's from Duke Qing's hand. I heard Baiwei-ju held 2 auctions and made hundreds of thousands of strings of silver. That place is a real moneymaker. TSK, selling alcohol, tea, and now even hosting auctions and selling meals. He's making a fortune. I'd estimate Duke Qing's wealth is at least several 100,000 strings. I think it's more than that. I believe he has at least 1 million in silver at home. 1 million in silver? That's as rich as a nation. Oh? Li Er ignored the whispers, and asked with interest, is that the set of wine vessels engraved with, Heaven gave me talent, it must be used, spend thousands of gold, they will return, let's feast on sheep and beef, and, drink 300 cups in one go? Qingxiu nodded, exactly that set. The Turkic princess bought something without paying, so I hope your majesty can uphold justice for me. Li Er's expression turned strange. Ashina Yu is a Turkic princess. It might not be proper for me to handle this matter for you. Qingxiu asked, does your majesty mean to let me handle this on my own? Li Er blinked, puzzled, do you expect me to collect the money for you? Or, pay it for her? Qingxiu looked at Li Er and suddenly smiled, nodding slightly. Li Er's expression changed subtly, he seemed to have an idea. Li Er shook his head and said, the royal treasury doesn't have that much money. The state funds are meant to benefit the people. As emperor, how can I divert those funds to pay someone's debt? However, I can support you and help demand the debt from the Turkic princess. Qingxiu smiled and shook his head. Your Majesty misunderstood me. The auction terms clearly stated that if payment isn't made within 3 days, the winning bidder will be detained. Once the payment is made, the person will be released. So this is a private debt between me and the Turkic princess. I ask your Majesty to allow me to detain her until her family sends the 90,000 strings of silver. I see. Li Er had a strange look and fell into silence, considering the pros and cons. Suddenly, Censor Wang Chunan, who came from the Wang clan of Taiyuan, looked alarmed and said, Your Majesty must not allow this. How can this be considered a personal dispute? Li Er raised his eyelids and asked, What is Censor Wang's opinion? Wang Chunan looked at Qingxiu and frowned. As an envoy to Tang, the Turkic princess should be treated with the proper diplomatic respect. As the saying goes, messengers should not be harmed, especially since we are not at war with the Turks. Guaranteeing their safety is basic etiquette. Your Majesty has no grounds to allow Dukshan to detain the Turkic princess. If this happens, it would be a national disgrace. The Khagan Xieli might immediately lead the Turkic cavalry to invade us, an unworthy risk. Censor-in-Chief Lu Shoulin also saluted and said, Censor Wang is right. We ask Your Majesty to consider this carefully. Your Majesty must not agree to Dukshan's request. The Turkic princess is an envoy. If she's detained, what foreign envoy would dare come to the Tang again? Qingxiu said angrily, It's easy for you all to talk, since it's not your money. This is 90,000 strings of cash. Of course you defend her. Are you going to pay for her? Wang Chunan sneered. Dukshan made huge profits from 2 auctions, at least hundreds of thousands of strings. Why would you care about 90,000? Your Majesty won't risk our diplomatic reputation over this. Your Majesty, doing this would damage our national prestige. Please reconsider. I agree. So do I. Qingxiu sneered. Detaining the Turkic princess is an insult to them? Have you forgotten the disgrace at Bema last year? Have you forgotten how the princess threatened the entire Tang court in the Taiji Hall recently? The Turks threatened to send 200,000 cavalry to invade if we refused their demands. Since you censors aren't going to war, of course you don't care. Qingxiu suddenly said to Li Er, Your Majesty, I no longer want the 90,000 strings. You can let the Turkic princess leave whenever you wish, and let the Turks invade with 200,000 cavalry, slaughtering our people as they like. But I suggest that Censor Wei Zheng lead the army to defend us, and all censors go to war first to show their patriotic spirit. Wei Zheng twitched his lips, dumbfounded. He was just here watching. All the censors' faces changed dramatically. Lu Shoulin said angrily, What are you saying? We censors are civil officials. Are there no generals in Tang? Sending civil officials to fight would make us a laughingstock. Letting us fight? Why don't you go, since you're so brave? The military officers were already itching to move. General Chang Yaojin grinned and said, Your Majesty, my vanguard camp is short 1 officer. I think Censor Lu looks strong and built, perfect for the front line. I propose he serve as my vanguard officer. Hearing this, both civil and military officials were stunned. Even the military officers' mouths twitched. Lu Shoulin, skinny as a chicken, was dumbfounded. Strong and built? Are you kidding me? The military officers all looked bewildered. This censor wasn't even enough to make soup. Lu Shoulin's face turned red. He patted his chest, which was as wide as a door, and angrily said, Duke of Lu, you call this a tall and strong build? I'm afraid my body isn't even as sturdy as Dukshan's. Your Majesty, he said indignantly, I accuse Duke of Lu Cheng Yaojin of deceiving the Emperor. I am clearly thin and weak, yet he insists on calling me tall and burly. Isn't this deceiving the ruler? Li Er rubbed his temples, frowned, and scolded, All of you shut up. Let's get back to discussing the matter of the Turkic princess not paying for the goods. Only then did Cheng Yaojin grunt twice and retreat to the military officials group. Lu Shoulin also gave a cold snort and returned to the same group. Li Er stroked his chin and pondered, Duke Qing's suggestion isn't bad. I also don't want to make things hard for the Turkic princess. But once she returns to the Turks, Xieli will definitely lead 200,000 troops to invade. Do any generals here want to take the initiative to face 200,000 cavalry? Li Er looked at Cheng Yaojin and blinked quickly. Cheng Yaojin understood, immediately held his forehead, and collapsed on the hall floor groaning, Oh, my head hurts. Your Majesty, I've developed a terrible headache. My whole body is weak, and my head feels like it's about to split open. I need to rest in bed, probably for 10 or 20 years. Li Er's mouth twitched, and his face instantly turned as black as the bottom of a pot. 10 or 20 years. A few months would have been enough. Qingxiu was already stunned. Good grief, no wonder Cheng Yaojin was nicknamed the Demon King. He really lived up to the name. Li Er looked at Li Jing, his face full of sorrow. Duke of Wei, Cheng has a serious illness and will be bedridden for 10 or 20 years. It looks like the responsibility of fighting the Turkic invasion falls on you. Ah? Li Jing screamed, clutching his leg, and fell to the ground, sitting down. He glared at Li Ji and yelled, Li Ji. Just because I owe you 2 meat pies worth 6 coins, you kicked and broke my leg? Your Majesty. Li Jing said in pain, last time I ate meat pies with Li Ji, I didn't bring money and asked him to cover it. It's been less than 20 days, and he held a grudge and broke my leg. My leg's broken in 8 places. Without 3 to 5 years, I won't recover. I can't lead the fight against the Turks and feel deeply ashamed. Please choose another worthy man. Qingxiu's jaw dropped. Good grief, even the great general of Tang is pulling stunts now? Li Er was also stunned. Owe someone 6 coins for 20 days and get your leg broken? No wonder Li Ji kicked you, I'd want to kick you too. The military officials were all dumbfounded. Just then, Li Ji suddenly started hopping on one leg, clutching his foot and screaming, You old fossil Li Jing. Is your leg made of iron? It's so hard it shattered my foot. Your Majesty, my foot is ruined, I can't go to the battlefield. With Chang Yaojin, Li Jing, and Li Ji taking the lead, the military officers seemed to open a door to a new world. Yu Qigong claimed he hadn't pooped for half a month, had a belly full of old waste, and was in terrible pain. It might take until next spring to finally relieve himself. Li Xiaogong insisted he was infected by Qingxiu's blindness and had gone blind himself. He even asked Qingxiu for a black cloth to cover his eyes and was grinning ear to ear. But Li Xiaogong soon stopped laughing. Since he pretended to be blind, the previously submissive Yu Qigong left 7 giant footprints on his but with his size 52 shoes. Anyway, the military officials' excuses became more and more absurd. Some said they sleepwalked into another man's wife's bed and were beaten half to death. Others claimed to have strange, incurable diseases. Even though Qingxiu had seen many jokes in his past life, he was blushing slightly now. He started to admire Li Er's patience. Only Li Er looked calm, his face showing a hint of suppressed sorrow. Among the civil officials, some were already laughing uncontrollably. Li Er said sorrowfully, All my dear subjects are unwell. Truly, the heavens are unfair. Since none of my beloved generals can go to war, I must choose a commander from the civil officials. Li Er's gaze fell on Wei Zheng. Wei Zheng immediately clenched, hurriedly saluted, and said, Your Majesty, this matter has nothing to do with me. I didn't speak for the Turkic princess, nor did I write in support of Duke Qing's debt issue. Please see clearly. Li Er nodded in satisfaction and said to Zhang Sun Wuji, Right Chancellor Zhang Sun Wuji, when the Turkic cavalry invades, I'll appoint you as supreme commander. As for which generals to use, you decide. But I'll remind you, choose quickly, to avoid complications. Zhang Sun Wuji wiped away tears of laughter, turned, and looked at Lu Shoulin, Wang Qunan, Zheng Yuanbao, and several other censors. Your Majesty, I'd like Lu Shoulin to lead the central vanguard and take the first strike against the Turks. I'd like Wang Qunan as left-wing vanguard. And Zheng Yuanbao as right-wing vanguard. Please approve. Li Er waved his hand, but before he could speak, Lu Shoulin knelt to the floor with a thud, his face lifeless. Your Majesty, let's talk about the debt between the Turkic princess and Duke Qing. I believe it's only right that the princess repays her debt. Duke Qing already stated the item must be paid for and collected within 3 days. It's been 56 days. Clearly, the princess is trying to skip payment. Yes, yes. Wang Qunan added fearfully, she's trying to swindle Duke Qing's Nightglow wine vessels. Outrageous. I propose we let Duke Qing detain her until her father brings ransom. A joke, these censors are great at arguing, but asking them to fight? They might not even know who's the enemy or ally. Zheng Yuanbao from the Zheng clan of Xinjiang quickly added, Your Majesty, the cannons and grenades offered by Duke Qing are extremely powerful. He made these large weapons in just a few days, so they can likely be mass-produced quickly. I believe if Duke Qing detains the Turkic princess to collect the owed 90,000, Shili won't risk national shame by invading. Even if he does, it'll take 2 or 3 months before he acts. In that time, we can build more cannons and grenades, train troops in anti-cavalry formations, and when the Turks come, we could wipe them out. Qingxiu's expression changed, he truly admired Zheng Yuanbao. His idea was exactly what Qingxiu had been thinking. Li Er smiled lightly, Censor Zheng, I thought of that long ago. He scanned the room and said sternly, Last year, I had just taken the throne. While the court was unstable, Shili led 200,000 cavalry to plunder Chang'an. When did he ever care about our dignity? So I need not care about theirs. I now declare, with Duke Qing's cannons and grenades, the balance of power between Tang and the Turks has changed. A debt must be repaid. The princess owes Duke Qing silver. He has the right to detain her. If Shili dares to invade, let him taste our firepower. Minister Tang Jian, go personally and hand the princess to Duke Qing for detention. As for the Turkic mission, let them stay a month before returning home to send word. Court dismissed. After speaking, Li Er flicked his sleeves and left. Inside the Lixing Hall, Empress Zhangsun frowned slightly after hearing the series of events that happened in court today and said, Your Majesty, letting Duke Qing detain the Turkic princess, I believe this is inappropriate. Li Er asked in confusion, why does Guanyin maid think this is inappropriate? When Duke Qing was mentioned, Empress Zhangsun couldn't help but recall those extremely seductive silk stockings and lingerie she had tried on a few days ago. Her pretty face flushed slightly, but she quickly concealed her emotions. She frowned and said, Your Majesty granted a marriage between Xiangqing and him. I have no objections to that. However, once Xiangqing marries Duke Qing, he will have 5 wives and concubines. I think Duke Qing is rather lustful. Cough, cough. After speaking, Zhang Sun Wugo showed a hint of embarrassment. Li Er frowned and said, Duke Qing is blind and can't distinguish beauty from ugliness. You say he's lustful? On what basis? Empress Zhang Sun hesitated. She couldn't possibly come clean to her husband and admit she tried on the lingerie gifted by Duke Qing, could she? Li Er suddenly smiled and asked, Does the Empress think the Turkic princess is extraordinarily beautiful, and Duke Qing detaining her will eventually lead to him taking her into his bed? Empress Zhang Sun lightly nodded and said, That's exactly what I think. The Turkic princess is indeed beautiful, but she has foreign features. If your Majesty allows Duke Qing to behave so recklessly, it might invite much ridicule. Li Er's expression turned serious as he said, That's not quite right, Empress. Today, Duke Qing provided me with cannons and grenades of immense power, truly awe-inspiring. He also has a military formation that restrains cavalry. With these things, I can guarantee that within just a few months, the Great Tang will no longer fear any enemy. With cannons and grenades, of course I want the Turkic cavalry to taste their might. But a campaign needs a justified reason. If I detain the Turkic envoy in the name of the royal court, it would spark war, yes, but if this is heard by other countries, what envoy would still dare to come to Tang? Hee hee. Li Er laughed, the Turkic princess owes Duke Qing 90,000 strings of cash. It's only right to repay debts. Duke Qing detaining the princess and letting her father Xieli repay the debt before releasing her, that is perfectly legitimate, isn't it? Xieli is proud and arrogant. If someone detains his daughter and demands repayment, he will surely be humiliated and angry and will definitely assemble an army to invade. By then, I will have every reason to campaign against the Turks. Zhang Sun Wugo was surprised at first, then suddenly understood and said, So that's what your Majesty meant. I was short-sighted. Li Er sighed and said, I know. Letting Duke Qing detain the Turkic princess, this guy might end up messing around and dragging Ashina Yu into his bed. That's unfair to our daughter Xiangqing. But I have no choice. Only he can do it. Zhang Sun Wugo gave a bitter smile and said, Your Majesty is right. Right now, only Duke Qing has a legitimate reason to detain the Turkic princess. No one else could do it. But, Your Majesty, can we really defeat the 200,000 Turkic cavalry? Li Er's expression became solemn, we must defeat them. Even if we can't, we still have to. Go talk to Xiangqing about the marriage. I'm going to the Ministry of Works to have them start producing a batch of gunpowder and grenades immediately. After saying that, Li Er stood up and left. At the same time, Duke Qing, this is the station where the Turkic princess is staying. Tang Jian led Qingxiu to an inner courtyard behind high walls within the office of reception. Outside the door stood imperial guards in bright armor, as well as several Turkic guards wielding curved sabers. The office of reception was an official office within the imperial city, responsible for receiving foreign guests. Just as they were about to follow Tang Jian inside, they were blocked by 5 or 6 Turkic guards. The leading Turkic guard, expressionless, said in broken Chinese, Tang official, you don't know that entering the station requires the princess's permission? On the way there, Tang Jian had already guessed from recent events that the reason Li Er wanted Duke Qing to detain the Turkic princess was to find an excuse for war. If the Tang detained her officially, it would be unjustified. But Duke Qing was different. Who told the Turkic princess to default on payment? Understanding the truth of the situation, Tang Jian's tone also hardened. He coldly said, This is the office of reception, under my jurisdiction. I go wherever I want, no permission needed. You lot, if you don't want to die, get out of the way. The Turkic guard leader was shocked and looked Tang Jian up and down. During the past few days that the envoy stayed here, this Tang official had always been polite, always waiting for approval before entering. Why was he now so rude and domineering? The other Turkic guards muttered in their language. Some looked mocking, others sneering. Suddenly, Tang Jian's face darkened. He turned and angrily shouted at the guards, "All guards of the office of reception, arrest these damn Turkic barbarians." The guards stationed nearby clattered in their armor, and in moments, over 20 of them surrounded the 5 or 6 Turkic guards. The guard leader glared, "Lord Tang, what do you mean by this? We are the Turkic mission. Are all Tang officials this unreasonable? You treat the warriors of Turk like this, aren't you afraid our great Kogenshieli will send troops to destroy your Tang?" Tang Jian ignored him and waved his hand, face cold, "Arrest them. If they resist, kill without mercy." This made the leader panic. His face showed fear. He urgently muttered to the others, who reluctantly stopped resisting. Qingxiu leaned close and asked, "Duke of Zhu, what did those Turkic brutes say that made you so angry?" Tang Jian's face twitched and darkened. "They said Tang women are shared by thousands, Tang men are cowards. The more rude you are to Tang people, the more they fear and respect you. In the eyes of these Turks, we're worse than pigs and dogs." Qingxiu's face turned cold. The household guards behind him were enraged. "Damn Turkic dogs! They dare insult us Tang people? Lord Tang, may we kill these barbarian dogs?" a brightly armored guard asked through gritted teeth. "My lord, just say the word, we'll make sure these bastards wish they were dead," the household guards echoed. Qingxiu patted Xuanzai on the shoulder and said, "Don't let them die too easily. Go." "Got it." Xuanzai grinned wickedly and, with a dozen equally grim guards, charged at the Turkic guards. The Turkic guard leader understood Chinese. After hearing Qingxiu's words, his head buzzed, eyes blacked out, and he was filled with despair. "No! You can't just kill us. I'm an envoy. We're the Turkic mission." The leader screamed in fear, "You dare kill foreign envoys? Aren't you afraid the great Kogenshieli will destroy the Tang? No. Don't. I want to see your emperor. Princess. Save me." As he was dragged to the corner, he cried for help, his pants soaked in urine. In the glory of Han and Tang, one represents Han, one Tang. If not for the Tang dynasty, later generations of China might be called Tang people. The Turkic barbarians' insults enraged not only Tang Jian but Qingxiu too. Of all people to provoke, they provoked a blind man? Inside the post station, Ashina wore only a bra and a thin underskirt on her lower body, fanning herself hard with a hand fan. Beside her, a personal maid who was also fanning herself complained, "Princess, Chang'an is just too hot. It's nothing like the coolness of the grasslands. This Tang emperor is really lacking in etiquette. When you went to the palace to meet him, the huge hall was cooled with ice, but he can't even spare a bit of ice to help us cool down here." Ashina said, "The Tang emperor hates us Turks to the core. He's probably wishing we'd leave Chang'an and go back to Turkic lands as soon as possible. I'm sure just thinking about us suffering in this heat brings him joy. How would he ever send us ice to cool off?" The maid said with disdain, "The Tang emperor is really stingy. Princess, how about we go to Baiweiju to cool off? There's ice everywhere in Baiweiju, and they have cold and tasty sour plum soup. We could also buy some ice to bring back. Otherwise, with this heat, it'll be hard to sleep at night." Ashina hesitated, "But if we go to Baiweiju, what if the shopkeeper demands the auction payment? I still owe 90,000 strings of cash for that wine set I bought. If that becomes a big deal, the Turkic envoy's face will be completely lost." The maid asked, "Didn't you say you were going to ask the Tang emperor to help you pay? Why not go now?" Ashina gave a bitter smile and said helplessly, "I was planning to bring it up today, but the discussion in court didn't go well. The Tang emperor clearly isn't happy with me. If he refuses to help me pay, I'll be mocked by Tang officials. Better to forget it." The maid asked, "Didn't you really like that wine set? Are you going to give it up?" Ashina shook her head, "I didn't like the wine set itself, but the poems engraved on it. Although the Marquis of Lantian shows obvious disdain for foreign tribes like us, I can't deny his poetic talent is unmatched. I admire his brilliance. But for the sake of the Turkic royal court's dignity, it's better not to take the wine set. Let someone else have it." The maid said, "Princess, since the Marquis of Lantian won't marry into Turkic lands, and the Tang emperor won't allow it either, let's just return to Turkic territory. No need to suffer here." Ashina nodded, That's fine. Tomorrow morning I'll go see the Tang emperor, and then we'll head back to Turkic lands." The maid looked delighted and nodded repeatedly. But before they could rejoice, a scream suddenly came from the inner courtyard, followed by several more screams. Ashina asked in confusion, "Hamuyan, why do I hear someone screaming outside?" Hamuyan listened closely and her face instantly changed, shouting, "Princess, it's a cry for help, it's your guards calling for help." Ashina's face also changed, and she immediately tried to go outside, but Hamuyan grabbed her arm. "Princess, you can't go out dressed like that. Ashinayu froze, looked down, and saw that she was only wearing a silk bra tied with a ribbon at the back. Just walking made it sway all over. Below, it wasn't much better, just a short skirt, revealing her smooth, long, snow-white legs. As a Turkic princess, she still had to care about her appearance. After changing clothes, Ashinayu and Hamuyan rushed out. Before they could reach the inner courtyard, a group of people entered from the outer courtyard. Seeing who it was, Ashinayu froze and said in disbelief, "Marquis of Lantian? Why are you here?" Qingxiu replied expressionlessly, "Of course I came to collect a debt." Ashinayu looked confused. "Ashinayu has no dealings with the Marquis of Lantian. What debt are you referring to?" Tang Jian beside her corrected, "Princess Ashinayu, he's no longer Marquis of Lantian. Today His Majesty has conferred upon him the title of Dukshan." Ashinayu was shocked. "Dukshan?" She looked closely at Qingxiu, same clothes as when she saw him that morning. How did his status rise so quickly? Although puzzled, it wasn't the time to focus on that. Ashinayu nodded. "All right, may I ask, Dukshan, Ashinayu has no interaction with you. Why are you here to collect a debt?" Qingxiu said mockingly, "No dealings? I'm afraid Princess Yu doesn't know, Baiwei Ju is my personal property." "What? Baiwei Ju is yours?" Ashinayu was completely stunned. Then her snow-white face flushed red, the embarrassment clearly visible. She ultimately couldn't avoid it. Someone really came to demand the money. If this got out, the Turkic royal court would lose all face. No, she couldn't let that happen. She absolutely couldn't let the Khagan be shamed. She didn't want to keep on this topic and instead urgently pointed outside, asking, "What's going on outside? Why are my guards crying for help? What did you do to them?" Qingxiu shamelessly replied, "Your guards insulted the Duke of Ju and even tried to attack him. As a duke, how could he tolerate being humiliated by Turkic barbarians? So the duke had them taught a lesson, to make them remember it well." Tang Jian's mouth twitched, cursing in his heart, "Damn, you really know how to throw someone under the bus." But then Tang Jian thought, if he made me take the blame, there must be a reason, and surely some reward. Can't take the blame for free. With that thought, Tang Jian's eyes lit up. He suddenly stepped forward, chest out, and said, "Indeed. Your guards insulted me and tried to kill me. I fought back to protect myself." That left Qingxiu speechless. Someone who was thrown under the bus, still voluntarily stepping forward to admit it? Well then, Qingxiu was truly moved by Tang Jian. "What?" Ashinayu's expression changed. "You want to kill my guards? How dare you?" Her beautiful face darkened, full of rage. "You're the Tang official in charge of receiving envoys. No matter the reason, you must not harm foreign envoys. Aren't you afraid the Tang Emperor will punish you? Stop. Tell them to stop." The screams grew more pitiful, and Ashinayu became increasingly anxious. Tang Jian sneered, "Your guards can try to kill me, but I can't kill them? What kind of logic is that? You Turkic princesses are really overbearing and unreasonable." Ashinayu glared, "Tang Jian, aren't you afraid that your personal actions will bring disaster to the Tang? If you really kill my guards, I'll have the Khagan send troops, and the Tang Emperor will have to hand you over to me." Tang Jian sneered coldly, such arrogance from the Turkic princess. "First, think about how you'll return to Turkic lands before making threats." What do you mean?" Ashinayu asked with suspicion. "Are you going to imprison the Turkic princess?" Her tone was full of doubt. Tang Jian smiled and said to Qingxiu, "Dukshan, I think we should first settle the debt between you two." Qingxiu nodded, tapped his blind cane, turned his face slightly, and said to Ashinayu, "Baiwei Ju is my personal business. The auction I hosted had a clear rule: payment must be made within 3 days, or face the consequences. Princess Yu won a wine set worth 90,000 strings of cash. Before leaving, you promised to send the money and pick it up in 2 days. But it's been 5 days now. I have no choice but to come collect what you owe. If I don't see the money today, I have the right to detain you until your family brings 90,000 strings of cash to redeem you." Qingxiu spoke logically and clearly, leaving Ashinayu speechless. Her stunning face was already as red as the evening glow. She was so embarrassed she wanted to disappear into the ground. The hot weather, combined with the awkward situation, made Ashinayu break out in fragrant sweat. However, she was someone who had seen the world and quickly calmed herself down. But her personal maid Hamuyan was furious after hearing Qingxiu's words. She glared and shouted, "Just 90,000 strings of cash? My princess is a noble Turkic royal, do you really think she'd skip payment?" Qingxiu replied coldly, "If that's the case, why have so many days passed without sending the money to Baiwei Ju?" "Fine." Ashinayu bit her lip, displeased, and said, "Duke Qing, before nightfall, I will send you the 90,000 strings. I swear by the spirit of the grasslands, if I don't send the money today, you can do whatever you want with me." Tang Jian's expression suddenly turned ambiguous, giving Qingxiu a sly look. Do whatever he wants? The Turkic princess is bold indeed, saying such things in front of this man, this blind man, no less. Although Tang Jian hadn't dealt much with Qingxiu, he had seen him in court, daring to draw a sword in front of the emperor, a fearless man who didn't care about any official, let alone a Turkic princess. A smug expression appeared on Tang Jian's face. But, Aina said unhappily, on one condition, you can't spread this debt around. If it becomes public and I'm humiliated, I won't give you a single coin. Qingxiu shook his head, sorry. I'm busy. I can't wait until nightfall, not even an hour. I want to see the 90,000 strings right now. Hamuyan fumed, you're being unreasonable. The Turkic princess is of such high status, how could she possibly default? Not necessarily, Qingxiu replied playfully. I don't know your princess, and I don't trust her. I just want my money back. Is that wrong? Hamuyan wanted to say more, but Aina raised her hand and said, I'll give you the money. Just give me half an hour. I'll bring the 90,000 strings here. Please step aside and let me go fetch the money. Qingxiu smiled and shook his head, I can't. What if you run away? Aina was so angry her breathing quickened. She shouted, I would run away? Impossible. I would never run over such a small amount. By now, the sounds of screams from outside had gradually stopped. Aina and Hamuyan both looked uneasy and deeply worried. Aina turned to Tang Jian, angrily saying, Lord Tang, release my guards immediately. Otherwise, I will have the Khagan send troops against Tang. You don't want to cause a war because of a moment's impulse, do you? Tang Jian calmly replied, Princess, haven't you realized? They're already dead, you don't hear anything anymore. What? You killed all my guards. Aina's face turned pale, her body slightly trembling. She couldn't understand why this Tang official would go that far. Wasn't he afraid of causing war? Qingxiu said impatiently, it's already been half a stick of incense's time. Half an hour will be up soon. When will Princess you bring me my money? Aina looked aggrieved and shouted hysterically, you won't let me go, how can I bring you the money? Qingxiu smiled and pointed at Hamuyan, your maid can go get it. But you must stay here as collateral. Otherwise, I won't be at ease. Fine. Aina gritted her teeth, have it your way. Hamuyan, go find the Tang emperor and borrow 90,000 strings. If he agrees, we'll waive next year's tribute. Yes, princess. I'll go find the Tang emperor now. Hamuyan ran out filled with anger. Aina turned and entered her room. Qingxiu found a shady spot and sat down on the ground. Tang Jian also sat down beside him, grinning and whispering, Duke Qing, I took the blame for you, how do you plan to thank me? Qingxiu froze, then suddenly realized. Tang Jian had taken the blame in hopes of receiving a favor. Qingxiu played dumb, what blame? Duke Zhu, is there a misunderstanding? Tang Jian was confused, Duke Qing, didn't you want me to take the blame? You didn't want the princess to know you killed her guards, so you said I gave the order, wasn't that the plan? Qingxiu said with a strange look, Duke Zhu, you've misunderstood. I had my men kill the guards because I didn't want you, as the Minister of Reception, to bear the guilt of personally killing Turkic envoys. Tang Jian's mouth twitched, face dark, then why did you tell the princess that I gave the order? Qingxiu laughed, because I just wanted to throw the blame. Tang Jian felt his scalp go numb. He suddenly stood up and shouted, how can you be like this? I helped you out of goodwill and ended up the fool? Qingxiu chuckled, it's just a joke, Duke Zhu. No need to be angry. So tell me, how would you like me to thank you? Tang Jian sat back down with a grunt, muttering, if I ask for thanks, it sounds like I'm taking a bribe. I'm an honest official. I would never ask Duke Qing for a reward. What kind of man would I be? Qingxiu twitched, he never thought the famous Tang Jian would be like this. Hee hee. Tang Jian laughed and winked, I heard Duke Qing sold a lot of glass pearls at the auction. My wife's been begging for one recently. Sigh. Tang Jian sighed, looking helpless. But I'm too poor to afford one. Duke Qing, could you give me one at a discount? Doesn't have to be perfect, just not defective. Qingxiu sneered, looking disgusted. Never seen someone use honesty as a catchphrase like this. Just so happens I've got one on me. Qingxiu pulled a clear glass pearl from his bag and handed it over. We're colleagues, no need to talk about selling. That would make me seem petty. Here, I'm gifting you this pearl. Tang Jian looked at the sparkling pearl and trembled, voice shaky, you really want to give this to me? Of course. Qingxiu nodded. A gentleman never goes back on his word. But one condition, this pearl must only be given to your wife or daughter. Don't give it to anyone else or sell it. Otherwise, I'll take it back. Tang Jian nodded quickly, of course. I swear, if I sell it, may I die a horrible death. Take it then. Qingxiu tossed the pearl to Tang Jian, who held it like a treasure. Anyway, Qingxiu had plenty of them. Before long, they'd be everywhere. Eventually, the glass pearls wouldn't even be worth a bowl of cold noodles. Hamuyan came back, her face pale and unpleasant. Qingxiu asked with a smile, "Where are the 90,000 strings of cash for this marquis?" Hamuyan hesitated to speak, but forced herself to respond stubbornly, "I told you, you'll get every coin. Not a single copper will be missing." After speaking, Hamuyan entered the room. Ashinayu, seeing Hamuyan return, quickly got up and went over, asking, "Well? Did you get the money?" Hamuyan's eyes turned red, her face twisted with anger. She sat down heavily on a chair, aggrieved, "Princess, he did it on purpose. The Tang Emperor definitely did it on purpose. I went to ask him for money, and he said it was all spent on disaster relief. He claimed the treasury doesn't even have 9,000 strings left, let alone 90,000. Ashinayu said weakly, "So, you came back empty-handed?" Hamuyan nodded, crying, "Princess, I'm sorry. I'm useless, I couldn't borrow the 90,000. Ashinayu comforted her, "Yen, it's not your fault. I understand now. This is a conspiracy. I should have realized earlier, it's all a setup." "Conspiracy? What conspiracy?" Hamuyan looked confused. Ashinayu grew angry and agitated, "Can't you see it? It's all a plot. Last time when we went to Sanha village, we heard rumors about the Marquis of Lan Tian. He's said to be gentle and generous, beloved by the people. They say his wealth piles up like mountains, at least 1,000,000 strings of silver. How could such a man be so relentless over 90,000? Also, today the Tang Emperor said in court that the national treasury is flush, with nearly 10 million strings in reserve. How could he not spare 90,000? It's deliberate, they're intentionally making things hard for us." Ashinayu began smashing things in anger, and after a bout of destruction, sat down in despair. "Princess?" Hamuyan asked in confusion, "But why would they do that? What's the benefit for them? Don't they fear that the Khagan will invade if they push us this far?" "Yeah, what do they gain from this?" Ashinayu was completely puzzled, her face full of confusion. At that moment, Qingxiu's voice came unpleasantly from outside the door, "Say, how long do you want this marquis to wait? It's scorching outside. I've already waited half an hour. If you can't pay, just say it, don't act all high and mighty." Ashinayu's face turned bright red from shame. Hamuyan shouted angrily, "Nag, nag, nag. Are all you Tang people as petty as you?" Then she leaned in and asked in a low voice, "Princess, he's pressing for the debt. What should we do? Where can we get 90,000 strings of silver?" Ashinayu said bitterly, "Besides the Tang Emperor, we know no one here. If he won't lend us money, who else can we turn to? Who else?" Her eyes turned cold and determined. She gritted her teeth and said, "Hamuyan, I want to see what this Marquis of Lan Tian and their emperor really want. Let's confront him head on. We have no money, if he wants it, let the Turkic cavalry bring it to him and see what he'll do. Let's go." Ashinayu quickly walked out. She looked at Qingxiu in the shade, lifted her chin proudly, and said, "This princess doesn't have the money right now. If you want it, let me go, I'll return to Turkic lands and send it back as fast as possible. What do you think?" Qingxiu sneered, "I don't think so. If you leave, who will be my hostage? Your maid? I'm not that stupid. If someone's going back to get the money, it'll be her, not you." Ashinayu said coldly, "Humph, Hamuyan can return to Turkic lands, but if she does, she won't just bring back 90,000 strings, she'll bring 200,000 cavalry too." Then she looked even more arrogant and disdainful, "If you let both of us return, I'll give you triple the money. You have one incense stick's time to consider and answer me." Tang Jian watched them with a schadenfreude-laden look, full of sympathy in his eyes. What a pair of bold foreign girls. The last person who dared speak to the Marquis of Lan Tian like that probably still hasn't recovered from the knife wound on their chest. Qingxiu shook his head coldly, "I refuse to consider it. Ashinayu, even if your maid brings back 2 million cavalry, today I will detain you." "Threaten me?" Qingxiu sneered. "Anyone who threatens me doesn't end well." Ashinayu was stunned. He actually wasn't afraid of Turkic 200,000 cavalry invading Tang? How dare he? Why was he so brave? Hamuyan was also shocked. Could he really be unafraid of 200,000 cavalry riding into Chang'an? "Xuanzi, come in." Xuanzi rushed in with a dozen guards. Qingxiu raised his blind cane, pointed at Ashinayu, and coldly said, "Tie up this 90,000 of mine." "All right." Xuanzi rolled up his sleeves and told Penghu, "Get the rope from the cart." Ashinayu's face changed. Seeing Qingxiu was serious, she panicked. She quickly said, "No. No need to tie me up, I'll go with you." "Princess, no. Absolutely not." Hamuyan panicked. Ashinayu went over, pulled Hamuyan inside, and choked out through tears, Hamuyan, go to the post station and lead our envoy back to Turkic lands. Tell the Khagan exactly what happened here. They've gone too far. They've gone too far. Ashinayu began to cry into her hands. This is the worst humiliation of my life. Make sure the Khagan leads the army, I want him to feel this same humiliation. Hamuyan shook her head. No, princess, I won't leave you alone in Tang. I'll notify the envoy to return home, then I'll come back for you. After speaking, Hamuyan ran out. Ashinayu shouted, no. You must return to Turkic lands and tell the Khagan personally. Hamuyan stopped, looked back at Ashinayu at the door, and suddenly cried out, Princess, take care of yourself. I'll return to Turkic lands as fast as I can, and I'll come back even faster to take you home to the grasslands. With that, she ran off in tears. Ashinayu composed herself, then coldly said, Dukshan, for humiliating a Turkic princess like this, the Turkic cavalry will make you pay the price, no, 10 times the price. Qingxiu replied coldly, take care of yourself first. He turned to Tang Jian and asked, Duke Ju, how many people came with the Turkic envoy this time? Tang Jian said, including those few just killed, there were 40 total. Now only 34 are left. Why do you ask, Duke Qing? Qingxiu smiled harmlessly, then turned to Xuanzi and ordered, Xuanzi, arrange for a bandit raid on the Turkic envoy. Lock them all up in the bandit stronghold. Release them in a month. Xuanzi grinned, got it. Tang Jian was dumbfounded, and Ashinayu froze. After a moment, Ashinayu snapped back and shouted, what are you doing? Don't you dare, these are foreign envoys. Are you trying to disgrace your nation? Revoke that order immediately. Qingxiu said with annoyance, Princess Yu, don't slander me. It's the bandits attacking the envoy, what's that got to do with me? Besides, it brings honor to the country, not shame. Heh, go. Ashinayu. The last time she was speechless, was never. She had never felt so helpless in her life. In the carriage, Ashinayu stared at Qingxiu and said sternly, Duke Qing, what you're doing will bring disaster to your country. Aren't you really afraid that my father, the Khagan, will lead 200,000 cavalry to approach Chang'an again? Qingxiu asked with a half-smile, does Princess Yu think I really have the authority to detain you? Ashinayu was startled, her expression changed. It was the Emperor of Tang who allowed you to do this? Why? Why would he allow this? Isn't he afraid of the Turkic cavalry? Has he forgotten the humiliation of Bema back then? Qingxiu chuckled, at this point, there's no use hiding it from you. If I don't detain you, your father, Khagan Xieli, wouldn't lead the cavalry to invade. And if he doesn't invade, how could the Tang dynasty annihilate the main Turkic cavalry forces in one strike? Ashinayu was stunned at first, then suddenly burst into a clear and pleasant laugh. She giggled at first, and after a moment laughed heartily, Duke Qing, you must be joking, right? Let alone comparing the combat strength of Tang and Turkic cavalry, the numbers alone are vastly different. Thinking of annihilating the Turkic cavalry in one go is pure fantasy. Qingxiu only smiled and said no more. Seeing his confident face, Ashinayu put away her smile and asked in confusion, Duke Qing, are you serious? You're right, I'm just dreaming. Everything I just said was a joke. But the more Qingxiu said that, the heavier Ashinayu's heart felt. She fell into deep thought, analyzing from all angles the possibilities of a battle between the two armies, and whether the Turkic cavalry could be completely wiped out. But after long calculations, she came to no conclusion. Her expression became more serious. She shook her head and said, I've played out many scenarios. No matter how I analyze it, Turkic forces wouldn't lose the battle, let alone be annihilated in one blow. Qingxiu said dismissively, Turkics are barbarians, not invincible. Nothing to be afraid of. Ashinayu felt a growing unease. The more indifferent he acted, the more uneasy she became. That unease made her anxious. Duke Qing, where does your confidence come from? Do you really have a way to wipe out the Turkic cavalry in one blow? She asked with a serious expression. Qingxiu waved his hand, yawned, and said, you wouldn't understand even if I told you, it'd just be a waste of breath. Just remember, the day your father comes to Chang'an is the day the Turks begin to fall. I'm sleepy now. I'm going to take a nap. Don't disturb me. Qingxiu stretched his legs, leaned back, and closed his eyes, unclear whether he was really asleep or pretending. Ashinayu raised her brows slightly and began to carefully observe this Tang man. After the time of burning one stick of incense, she was still staring at him. Listening to his steady breathing, Ashinayu narrowed her eyes and slowly reached toward her boot, where she retrieved a small golden knife inlaid with colorful gems. She waved it in front of Qingxiu's face. He didn't react, as if truly asleep. Ashinayu looked pleased. Sleeping so deeply in front of me? Then die. She raised the knife to stab, but stopped midway, full of hesitation. Would it be a pity to kill him just like this? If she did kill him, she might not make it out of Tang alive. His guards might chop her into meat paste and feed her to dogs. The best plan now was to take him hostage. Yes, take him hostage. Her eyes lit up, and she slowly crept forward. But before she could get close, she suddenly felt pain in her chest. She looked down. There was a thick stick wedged between her breasts. It was his blind cane. Ashina froze. Qingxiu raised the cane with his left hand, the tip pressed against her chest. His right hand gripped the handle of the blade hidden inside, and he slowly drew it out, placing the blade on her shoulder. Expressionless, he said, "You clearly just tried to stab me. Why the sudden change of heart?" Ashina, humiliated and angry, said, "Despicable. You tricked a woman by pretending to sleep. Shameless scoundrel." Qingxiu smirked. "I guess you realized killing me wouldn't help, so you decided to take me hostage instead, right?" Ashina lifted her chin proudly. "So what if I did? You still found out, didn't you?" Qingxiu suddenly smiled and said, "From now on, I'll give you a chance every day to either kill or kidnap me. If you succeed, I'll let you return to Turkic lands and cancel your 90,000 string debt." Ashina sneered, "How generous of you." Qingxiu's smile deepened. "Or, I can add a condition: if you succeed, I'll return with you to Turkic lands and help develop Turkic like I did with Tang, to make your people stronger. How about that?" Ashina immediately brightened and asked eagerly, "Do you mean it?" "I do. You're not lying?" Qingxiu raised 3 fingers. "I swear to the heavens, if I lie, may I be struck by 5 bolts of lightning and die horribly. But it's only valid for 1 month. If you fail in that time, you'll obediently remain in my custody." Ashina sneered confidently. "Fine. You said 30 days, so 30 chances to kill or capture you. But..." She looked puzzled. "What kind of chances will you give me? Will you just stand still and let me attack? If so, that's too naive. I don't believe you're that foolish." "Smart." Qingxiu snapped his fingers and grinned. "Of course I won't just stand there." "Then what?" Qingxiu said, "It's simple. For the next month, we'll eat and sleep together, on the same table, in the same bed. You can use your little golden knife on me anytime. If you hold the blade to my neck, you win." Ashina was dumbfounded by this absurd proposal. She leaned forward, pointing at her beautiful face, and said, "So I sacrifice my body in exchange for 30 chances to capture you? You want to sleep with me 30 times? Qingxiu chuckled. "How about it? Worth it, isn't it? 30 chances, you'll be pampered by a handsome man like me, and maybe even fall for me, bring me back to Turkic. Aren't you tempted?" Ashina was completely stunned. In her whole life, she had never met anyone so shameless. "Hee hee." Ashina sneered coldly. "Do you really think I, Ashina, am that kind of brainless woman? What if after sleeping with me tonight, you turn around and run away? Wouldn't I suffer a huge loss?" Qi Xiusu said angrily, "You may insult me physically, but please do not question my character. A gentleman's word once given is hard to take back. Am I such an untrustworthy petty person? If I say 30 days, it's 30 days, with no deceit." Ashina shook her head with contempt. "I refuse. You Tang people are sly, unlike our Turks, each one with simple thoughts and pure souls. I will not fall for your trick." Qi Xiu's lips twitched, cursing, "This is the first time I've seen such a shameless woman. Bragging about your own ethnicity should have limits. Hear this and it makes me want to vomit. Since you refuse, then fine." Ashina's heart stirred. She took a deep breath. Let me think it over." Qi Xiu would never trust that, "let me think." This was just Ashina's expedient tactic. If she refused outright now, she would truly lose any chance of being sent back to the Turks. "My Lord Marquis, we've arrived at the Marquis mansion." A stable hand's voice came from outside. "Great, get off the carriage." After speaking, Qi Xiu was the first to jump down from the carriage. Ashina closely followed. After she disembarked, she stared in amazement at the large mansion. Qi Xiu instructed the stable hand, "Send a household guard back to Sanha village to have Lu Yunyan select 20 female disciples with good skills and send them over." The stable hand looked puzzled. "My Lord Marquis, why is that?" Qi Xiu nodded toward Ashina. "Can't let her run away, right? I need people watching her so closely she can't take a step away." Ashina's heart dropped again into the abyss. Her flame of escape was instantly extinguished. As a Turk princess, she grew up on horseback, trained with blade and sword. Her skills were naturally good. She could easily deal with 4 ordinary young men. But the female disciples mentioned seemed clearly to be disciples trained in martial arts, skilled fighters. Maybe manageable alone or in pairs, but 20 of them? That seemed impossible. "Oh, right." Qi Xiu continued, "Also inform the household, I'll be staying in Chang'an for the next few days. Yes, my lord Marquis. I will arrange it immediately. After the stable hand left, Chi found a few maidservants and gave instructions, mainly to arrange a room for Ashinayu in the rear courtyard and provide 3 meals a day, just enough food to not starve. Ashinayu had thought being detained meant being locked in a filthy thatched hut, no food or clean rest, but unexpectedly, they arranged a room and included meals. Humph, she snorted, don't think that makes me grateful. Keep dreaming. Oh. Chi responded, then to the cook, the so-called queen's meals are to change to 1 meal a day, just 1 flatbread and a bowl of water. Nothing else. And no tidying her room, just arrange a firewood storage room. Also don't burn mosquito incense, let the mosquitoes bite her to death. Ashinayu panicked inside, quickly lowered her head, and in a small voice unwillingly said, I'm sorry, I was wrong. TSK, too quiet, I didn't hear. Angrily gritting her teeth, Ashinayu hissed, Marquis Chi, I'm sorry, it was my fault. Hee, attitude not good, not sincere. Ashinayu's blood pressure rose, tears of humiliation welled at her eyes, full of grievance. Marquis Chi, I'm sorry, I really know I was wrong. I can eat 1 meal only, just please don't let the mosquitoes bite me. The mosquitoes in the grasslands were ferocious, numerous and painful, especially itchy. The mosquitoes of the Tang Empire were gentler, mostly just itchy, without much pain. Having grown up on the steppe, Ashinayu suffered. Every summer she hated and feared mosquitoes the most. Without hanging up dry cow dung to repel insects in her tent, she might become a dried corpse from mosquito bites. Chi nodded in satisfaction, that's more like it. From now on, when you see father, you must know this attitude? The more humble you are in front of me, the better your living conditions. Until the people assigned to you arrive here, follow me temporarily. From now on, don't call me Marquis Chi, call me father. If that makes me feel good, I'll add ice cubes to your room at night. Hearing ice cubes in the room, Ashinayu's eyes brightened, her eyes slanted like crescent moons. Her voice became sweet, Father, you are so handsome. Father is the most handsome and beautiful man in all of the Tang. Though her words praised Chi, inside Ashinayu wanted to vomit. Not because he wasn't handsome, but because she actually said such flattering words. This was utter humiliation, she despised herself from her heart. Chi grew more absorbed in her sweet father and couldn't extricate himself. When he walked, it carried wind, and his face bloomed with a smile. Elder Wei heard that Chi had returned to the mansion and immediately crawled out of the boiler room. After finding Chi Wei handed him a wooden box and said with a smile, My Lord Marquis, these are the small ornaments made in the past few days based on the drawings you gave. Every shape on the drawing has been made. Please have a look, see if it works. When Wei looked at Ashinayu, curiosity couldn't be hidden on his face. This, my Lord Marquis, this little woman is Turk. Chi took the wooden box, nodded, yes, she is Turk Princess Ashinayu. From now on, she lives in the mansion. Have your people pay attention, she can move around freely in the mansion, but don't let her escape. Wei's mouth twitched in shock. What? A Turk princess? Don't act so surprised. A Turk princess, so what? A Turk princess is human too, right? When she drinks too much she'll vomit, eats too much she'll defecate, right? Wei's lips twitched. Ashinayu's face reddened, and she spat out angrily, vulgar, disgusting. Wei took a deep breath, My Lord Marquis, why bring a Turk princess here? Could it be to conceal a beauty in a golden chamber? Ha! Not even close, she owes me money and hasn't paid back. So I'm detaining her for now. When her father sends the money, she gets released. Oh my heavens. Wei could barely speak coherently. My Lord Marquis, isn't His Majesty watching? Isn't he worried you are detaining a Turk princess, risking Shibi Khan's forces invading? Chi sneered, His Majesty allowed it. If the Turk cavalry dares to come, they'll have nowhere to return to. All right, don't ask what you shouldn't, just do your proper duty. Yes, my Lord Marquis. Wei stopped asking. Ashinayu felt itchy in her heart. This man casually allowed Turk cavalry to come and go. What exactly was he relying on? This made her utterly speechless. Chi then opened the wooden box. It contained various small ornaments made from kiln-fired glass, exquisite. Some in teardrop shapes, some crescent shapes, 5-pointed stars, small animals, and many later-fashion popular styles. When Ashinayu saw the items in the wooden box, her delicate body trembled. Covering her mouth, she looked stunned. Her heart surged with overwhelming emotions. She could not believe there were such exquisitely crafted glass-water jade products in the world. Chi examined them a moment, then closed the box and nodded, not bad, almost flawless. If auctioned, they would fetch a good price. Oh right, 9th Elder Wei, what about the Xiaoyu Tian Lang? Wei looked uncomfortable. My lord Marquis, the Xiaoyu Tianlang is too large. We burned for days but couldn't fire a perfect large piece of glass. The fluorescent powder is almost used up. Are there any imperfect pieces? Chi asked. Yes, there are many defective pieces. I was about to break them into scraps and bury them. I'll get them for you. Wei turned back into the boiler room and came out holding two colorful glass pieces. Upon close inspection, they were hollow, shaped like a wolf howling at the sky, filled with water, with fluorescent powder added. When shaken, the fluorescent powder moves. After one night, it would glow like luminous beads in the dark. When Ashinayu saw these items, she felt dizzy. My heavens, this isn't a totem from our grassland? Chi held the defective Xiaoyu Tianlang before her eyes and waved it, smiling. If your father leads a great army invading the Tang, and we send this item to the Xuanchuo or other tribes of the 18 grassland departments, suppose they use it to launch a surprise attack on your father's army from behind, what would happen? Ashinayu's body went weak, she nearly collapsed. Suddenly her face went pale and she began trembling. The northern desert is home to many ethnic tribes, among which the eastern Turks are the strongest. This is the tribe ruled by Ashinayu's father, the Khagan Sheli. Below them are the western Turks. The Western Turks are formed from the Xuanchuo and the Huiha tribes. Actually, Xuanchuo is not a single tribe, but a combination of the Shui and Yentua tribes, merged by a man named Inan. Originally, there was no division into Eastern and Western Turks. After Sheli unified the steppe, the territory became too large to govern alone, so he sent his subordinate Inan to inform over 70,000 households of the Xuanchuo. Letting Inan govern Xuanchuo was arguably Sheli's least wise decision. Of all people to send, why send a traitor? That's right, Inan is considered the biggest traitor among the Turks. He dreams of overthrowing Sheli and becoming Khagan himself. Currently, due to the limited military strength of Xuanchuo, with only 50 to 60,000 troops, they have no choice but to submit to Eastern Turkic command under Sheli. At the same time, among the Eastern and Western Turks, many Tiela tribes are also affiliated with the two states. There are 9 major Tiela clans: Sijia, Pugu, Tongluo, Hun, Sijia, again, Baegu, Chi, Abusi, and Galuogusi. Besides the Tiela 9 clans, there are also the 9 surnames of Zhaowu, annexed by the Turks: Kong, En, Chao, Shur, Mi, He, Shur, Huishuan, and Wudi, etc. All these tribes, big and small, worship the deities of the steppe. They believe wolves are incarnations of steppe gods and revere them as totems. They've fought many wars over who holds the legitimate wolf totem, and conflicts continue to this day. The glass-howling wolf in Chi hand is designed exactly after their totem. Ashinayu stared in despair at the glass wolf in his hand. Her hair stood on end. Such exquisitely made glass could be seen as heavenly craftsmanship. If it spread to the steppe, along with a rumor that whoever possesses the howling wolf can rule the steppe, then the various steppe tribes might slaughter each other before the Tang even moves. Thinking of this, Ashinayu felt hopeless. This is what you rely on? Her voice trembled. No wonder you aren't afraid of our Turkic cavalry. But so what? Ashinayu stubbornly said, Xuanchuo is our Turkic vassal. Even combined with the Huiha, they have fewer than 100,000 troops. Why would they rebel over a glass wolf? Perhaps Marquis Chi doesn't know. Inan, who governs Xuanchuo, used to be my father's subordinate. They were like brothers. He wouldn't turn just because of a totem. He doesn't have the courage to oppose my father. Moreover, Xuanchuo and Huiha are a joint alliance tribe. They have 2 co-leaders. If you send this wolf to Xuanchuo, the Huiha might fight Inan over it. So don't dream. Inan would never betray the Turks. Though she spoke firmly, Ashinayu actually wasn't sure. People's hearts are hidden. She didn't really know what Inan was like. If her father's army invades and Inan truly attacks from behind, he might end up in power. That earlier outburst was because she'd thought of that possibility. Really? Chi smiled and said to Wei Laojiu, Old Wei, bring out the other wolf totems. Alrighty. Wei Laojiu ran off to the boiler room. Ashinayu's beautiful eyes widened in disbelief. That, you have more? Chi chuckled. Who said I only have 1 wolf totem? I've got tons. As many as I want. Ashinayu's face was full of shock. You made these? Of course. Chi opened a wooden box, took out a crescent-shaped glass ornament, and handed it to her with a smile. Consider this your welcome gift. Have fun with it. Ashinayu stared blankly at the crescent-shaped ornament in her hand, her eyes filled with disbelief. Could this glass jade really be made by humans? Soon, Wei Laojiu came out carrying a bamboo basket, which he placed on the ground. Ashinayu looked down and saw more than a dozen glass wolves inside, all the same size and shape. Every single one was exquisitely made. Ashinayu was stunned. Chi-Xiu smiled, give one to Inan, and the Hueha chief might fight him. But what if we also give one to the Hueha chief? What do you think? Will the two tribal leaders unite for a surprise attack? Ashinayu, who had just calmed down, suddenly couldn't stay calm anymore. Her lips trembled, all these, you made them? Yep. Heavens. Ashinayu cried out in despair, these things look heaven-made, and yet people can make them? You can produce glass jade? This is unbelievable. Is heaven going to destroy the Turks? As she looked to the sky with grief, tears streamed down her cheeks. Wei Laojiu said doubtfully, just some junk made by melting sand, won't cause the fall of your country, right? What? Ashinayu stared blankly. Junk made by melting sand? Her eyes widened again. You said it's made from sand? Wei Laojiu pointed at the boiler room. See for yourself if you don't believe. I can really look? Ashinayu couldn't believe they'd let her see how glass jade was made. Wei Laojiu chuckled, of course. You're our marquis's captive, he won't let you go until Shelley sends money. That might take months. By then, this stuff will be everywhere. Besides, whether you'll be able to leave at all is uncertain. Our marquis, heh. Wei Laojiu raised an eyebrow and laughed. Ashinayu couldn't care anymore. She rushed into the boiler room. About half an hour later, she came out drenched in sweat, walking like a ghost, exhausted. She had seen clearly, people in the boiler room selected fine grains from sand, placed them in a pan, and put them into a furnace. When taken out, it became a red molten mass. After shaping and cooling in water, it turned into colorful glass jade. As she walked out, Ashinayu's eyes began to shine. No, I must leave this place and bring the method of making glass jade back to the Turks. I must also tell father not to invade Tang, at least not before the Turks can make these glass wolves. But, how to escape? Ashinayu frowned, thinking of Chi-Xiu's suggestion. Must she really let that blind man take advantage of her body? Ashinayu gritted her teeth, her gaze firm. For the strength of the Turks, what's a little sacrifice? In the evening, dark clouds gathered, the weather turned cool, and the air outside became exceptionally refreshing. Chi-Xiu did not hesitate to personally prepare a large iron pot of spicy crayfish and a large iron pot of chilled crayfish, and had the servants in the mansion bring out over 100 bottles of beer from Sanha village. He had taught a few of the cooking women in Sanha village the method of making beer. These cooking women spent every day either cooking or brewing beer. For this reason, Chi-Xiu even dug an ice cellar in the backyard to store beer. A few chefs of the Qing mansion sat on small stools roasting skewers of lamb. Chi-Xiu found eating alone unappetizing, so he gathered Wei Laojiu and the 5 or 6 household guards who also worked on glassmaking. They ate crayfish and barbecue, drank beer, and it was very pleasant. When night fell and mosquitoes became numerous, everyone, full of food and wine, dispersed. Chi-Xiu also returned to his room intending to sleep comfortably. But before falling asleep, he used his God's eye view and noticed outside a fiery, beautiful figure wandering. It was Ashinayu. Tisk, Chi-Xiu clicked his tongue. Could it be that this girl has changed her mind? She actually came. Talking to himself, in the view Ashinayu bit her lip, clenched her fists, took a deep breath, and resolutely came to the door. She raised her hand and knocked on the door several times. Chi-Xiu did not rush to respond, but watched Ashinayu with interest. She might have just taken a bath, her hair was still slightly wet. Her exotic refined features, inexplicable beauty and allure. Her crescent-shaped eyebrows were slender and dense, her large eyes a deep blue, her nasal wings delicate and high, her lips thin and sensual. Most striking was her skin, as fair as frost or snow, both white and delicate. Exotic charm, somewhat reminiscent of a Xinjiang beauty. Actually, she looked somewhat like Gulnezer. Seeing no one respond, Ashinayu knocked again. This time Chi-Xiu did not hesitate. In a lazy voice he said, "Come in." Ashinayu gently pushed the door open and closed it behind her. Looking at the dark room she muttered, "Why didn't you light a lamp?" Chi-Xiu's tone was disdainful, "I'm blind. Why light the lamp?" Ashinayu's face turned red. Pretending calm she said, "It's too dark. I can't see. Light a candle." Chi-Xiu took a fire steel from the bedside table, blew on it a few times, and lit the candle on the table. Only then did Ashinayu see the layout of the room clearly. In addition to some necessary furniture, there were many ice buckets around, which lowered the temperature of the room to a cool degree. Her gaze fell on Chi-Xiu. She involuntarily turned her face away and snorted, "Why aren't you wearing clothes?" "Odd, why did I turn my face away? Isn't he blind?" "Who says so?" Chi-Xiu patted his thigh and laughed, "I'm still wearing a pair of shorts." Although Ashinayu didn't know what shorts were, she noticed he was still wearing a pair of boxer shorts. Thinking that the other is blind, Ashinayu no longer felt shy, but shamelessly appraised Qing Xiu's body, slim and upright, with 8-pack abs, somewhat muscular, not a big guy, but with strong masculine beauty and charm. What a physique! Ashina Yu muttered in her heart, and her face also reddened. Qing Xiu pretended ignorance. Why are you not sleeping in the middle of the night? Why did you come to my room? Ashina Yu sneered, don't pretend ignorance. What are you playing at? Qing Xiu smiled faintly, so you have already thought it through? Yes. Ashina Yu nodded, I have thought it through. I agree to your suggestion, give me 30 chances to hold you hostage. But let me say this clearly, you cannot cheat. As soon as I put the golden ring around your neck, you lose. Qing Xiu pursed his lips and smiled, of course. A gentleman's word is like a chariot, it cannot be retracted. Ashina Yu nodded again, bit her lip, quickly walked forward, took off her shoes, climbed into bed and lay down. Her voice trembled slightly, all right, let's sleep. Qing Xiu snorted, you haven't offered anything, coming here just to sleep? What nonsense are you thinking? So you mean I should offer my body to you first? Of course. Give your body once, and earn one chance to hold me. Ashina Yu snorted, humph, you didn't say at the start that I needed to give my body to get the chance. Now you're clearly cheating. Qing Xiu displeased, I think you're the one cheating. Do you think pies fall from the sky? Even if they do, they're not for you. If you're not ready to offer your body, get out. Come back when you are ready. Ashina Yu began gnashing her teeth. After calming herself, she spoke softly, I really don't trust you. I don't particularly believe you. If I offer my body and then you go back on your word, who can I complain to? I think, she shifted her eyes and said, I think you should give me one chance first, so I feel the hope of holding you hostage, that way I will safely offer my body. Otherwise with just your word, I will never believe you. Hee hee. Qing Xiu laughed and nodded, that's fair. Then I'll give you one chance. Tonight we'll just sleep. Ashina Yu's expression brightened. Her face was full of excitement and anticipation. She tightly gripped the golden ring in her hand. Qing Xiu blew out the candle and sincerely began to sleep. He really slept, no pretending. Of course, he also would not put himself in danger. Because recently he discovered that his God's Eye ability had unlocked a hidden feature, once he sensed any danger, it would forcibly activate. He had tested it many times, whether with Yunyang or with Changsun Pingting after poker playing before sleeping, as soon as they let him fall asleep and held a ring to gesture, he would be forcibly activated immediately. The God's Eye view not only gained this function, but its range expanded to about 100 Chinese miles. Within this range nothing could escape its gaze, it truly overlooked the world. And the expansion of range was thanks to Lu Xuani's help. Because after killing some of Lu Xuani's guards and Lu Xuani himself, the view range suddenly expanded more than double. Although relying on supernatural ability for one's own safety isn't wise, Qing Xiu was absolutely confident that Ashina Yu would not dare act against him. Otherwise, she could not possibly leave Chang'an alive. To survive and leave Chang'an, she wouldn't make such an unwise choice even sacrificing her body. After a long while, Qing Xiu gradually fell into dreamland, and began emitting light snoring. Originally very sleepy Ashina Yu, upon hearing the snoring, suddenly became full of energy. Her excitement overflowed. She stayed excited for half an hour, noticing the snoring had not stopped. He could pretend to sleep, but he couldn't pretend to snore loudly all night, right? Although she found it unlikely, Ashina Yu decided to wait a bit longer. Another hour passed. Until her eyelids began to droop, she gently pinched her thigh and suddenly fully awakened. She tightened her grip on the golden ring and lightly sat up. Her body trembled from tension, and using the faint moonlight, she slowly inched toward the direction of the snoring. It's getting closer, even closer. As she drew nearer, Ashina Yu's nerves were highly excited and her body tensed. Qing Xiu's snoring paused for a moment, but quickly returned to its steady rhythm. Ashina Yu, her nerves taut, didn't notice that slight change. Instead, with a face full of excitement, she knelt beside Qing Xiu and slowly extended the dagger toward his neck. I'm going to succeed. Ashina Yu wanted to cheer and insult this man as a fool at the same time. But in the next moment, a great hand abruptly grabbed her wrist. Ashina Yu shuddered and exclaimed, when did you wake up? Qing Xiu replied, slightly startled, damn, when did you creep over here? You scared the hell out of me, almost succeeded. Fortunately, I was woken up by a full bladder, otherwise you really might have kidnapped me. Ashina Yu bit her lip, full of resentment. In the end, you still discovered me? She felt regret, such a good opportunity wasted because of her own misstep. It was all because of his bladder. Why wake him up by needing to pee? If I had come earlier by even a tea break's time, I surely would have succeeded. Failing at the last step left Ashina Yu feeling discouraged. Qing Xiu said coldly, now, I gave you one chance, but you didn't succeed. Don't blame me. Now, go back to your room and sleep immediately. Angrily, Ashina Yu got out of bed. She wasn't angry with Qing Xiu, but angry she didn't seize her chance. He didn't even know when she had crept over, next time I will definitely succeed. But after this, he'll be more vigilant, right? Even if he is, so what? As long as he sleeps, I still have the opportunity. After getting out of bed, Ashina Yu stared at Qing Xiu and huffed, this time you got lucky, you probably won't be that lucky tomorrow. With that, she turned and left the room without looking back. The next morning, Ashina Yu felt sluggish, not having slept well all night. By contrast, Qing Xiu was full of energy. That day was overcast and unusually cool. Ashina Yu took a second sleep, restored her strength, and after lunch spent her time going in and out of the glasswork boiler room. Qing Xiu didn't interfere. After all, before they let her leave, glass like that would already be everywhere, she could learn as much as she wanted. In the afternoon, Qing Xiu took Wei Laojiu to the gold and silverware shop to commission custom gold and silver necklaces. Gold and silver are soft metals. As early as the spring and autumn Warring States period, people learned to make chains. With craftsmen's skills improving, the artistry was comparable to later times. They made the gold and silver chains to match the glass ornaments. Making necklaces or bracelets with those small ornaments would certainly be very popular, right? Pairing gold-silver with glass ornaments might seem like insulting gold-silver, but contemporary people didn't think that way. They generally believed that using gold to accent glass would insult the glass jade. Just as they left the gold-silver shop, two women came toward them. Mr. Qing? One of them, scholarly and graceful, smiled in surprise and said softly, what a coincidence to meet you here, Mr. Qing. Qing Xiu smiled, no wonder I found that sweet voice familiar, it turns out to be Miss Shuryan. Yes, those two were Yan Yushur, using the alias Yushuryan, and her maid Xiao Chui. Yan Yushur blushed when hearing the compliment, appearing shy. Her maid Xiao Chui giggled, I barely recognized you, turns out it really is Mr. Qing. Chang'an is so big, and my lady just casually walking meets you. Seems you're destined. Yan Yushur slightly pushed Xiao Chui and whispered, Xiao Chui, don't talk nonsense. Qing Xiu chuckled, Miss Xiao Chui is right, fate is magical. Meeting among millions is no small chance. Saying we have deep fate isn't an exaggeration. Yan Yushur blushed and hesitated, nodding, what Mr. Qing says is correct. Qing Xiu asked, Miss Shuryan, what brings you here? Yan Yushur spoke softly, smiling, a few days ago I ordered a headpiece here. I came to pick it up today, not knowing Mr. Qing was also here. Qing Xiu smiled, I'm also here to customize some ornaments to send to my wife. Yan Yushur expressed admiration, Mr. Qing's affection for his wife is truly strong. I envy her, she's very lucky. Qing Xiu laughed, haha, they're just small trinkets. If Miss Shuryan doesn't mind, I can give you one. He then took a thumb-sized glass ornament from his pocket and tossed it to Yan Yushur. An unexpectedly awkward moment happened. He habitually threw things, but Tang maidens didn't catch thrown items. The ornament landed precisely in Yan Yushur's neckline, slid along a fold and into it. Yan Yushur's body twitched as if shocked by electricity, and her face turned scarlet as if roasted by fire. Qing Xiu's mouth twitched, but he didn't show embarrassment. He smiled calmly and said, Miss Shuryan, we may meet again. With a tap-tap-tap, he walked away tapping his blind cane. Yan Yushur's face was completely flushed. Xiao Chui's mouth hung open staring at her mistress's chest, she swallowed hard. Yan Yushur restlessly adjusted her clothing. She couldn't help it, that little thing was caught in the fold, cold and clearly felt. Aisha, he's so shameless, truly a lecher. Xiao Chui muttered helplessly. Yan Yushur stomped her foot in embarrassment, then smiled bitterly and said to Xiao Chui, Mr. Qing is blind, this was unintentional. How could we call him a shameless lecher? Xiao Chui paused, staring after Qing Xiu tapping away. She felt embarrassed herself and said, Miss is right, Mr. Qing can't even see your beauty. How could he be a shameless lecher? Yan Yushur whispered, let's find an empty alley and take it out quietly. Miss, go to that alley. They walked a short way into a narrow alley. After making sure no one was around, Yan Yushur reached into the fold and retrieved the ornament. From a distance, Qing Xiu suddenly paused, observing with interest through his god's eye perspective. In his mind he marveled, daughters of rich families eat well, and even at a young age they grow so tall. In the alley, Yan Yushur rearranged her clothes and looked at the ornament in her hand. Her body trembled, and she suddenly covered her mouth in amazement. Xiao Chui exclaimed, Wow, miss, this little peach is so beautiful. The ornament in Yan Yushur's hand wasn't a peach, it was a heart-shaped pink glass piece, thumb-sized, round, transparent, and flawless. It's not a peach, Xiao. What is it then? Yan Yushir looked at it with love. It looks like a peach, but isn't. It's so exquisitely beautiful. Xiao Chui giggled. Mr. Qin gave Miss such a precious glass jade ornament, he must fancy you. Hearing that, Yan Yushir immediately looked shy. Her heart raced with excitement. Late at night, Ashina Yu was very conflicted at this moment. Although she spent last night in the same room and on the same bed with the blind man, they slept back to back on one bed, yet if she had silently crept over, some distance would still be needed. I was so foolish, so foolish. Ashina Yu wrapped her legs, extremely regretful. There was such a good opportunity last night, yet I slept apart from him and let a great chance slip away. But thinking that if she wanted another chance to seize the blind man tonight, she would have to give her body, this made Ashina Yu very torn. If she approached the blind man now, her chastity would certainly be gone. If she didn't, she couldn't pass on news about the glass totem meant to sway Xuyanchuo into ambushing the Turks to her father. But what if she offered her body and failed again tonight? Would she sleep with him again tomorrow night? Ashina Yu thought, and decided she could not miss another chance. At worst she could sleep in the same bed with him tonight. If she could seize him, she could bring the blind man back to the Turks. Ashina Yu's eyes lit up with relief. She murmured to herself, if so, what's the difference from my mission? If he agrees to go to the Turks, wouldn't I become his wife? At that thought she was no longer confused. After dressing neatly, she pushed open the door and went toward Qing Xiu's room. As soon as Ashina Yu walked out, Qing Xiu had already locked in on her through his god-eye perspective. Seeing her approach his room, his heart beat faster for no reason. It seemed tonight physical labor was inevitable. He was most skilled in that kind of combined male-female labor. Ashina Yu no longer hesitated as she did last night. She knocked directly on the door as she arrived. Come in. Qing Xiu's voice came from inside. Ashina Yu pushed the door open and closed it. The room was brightly lit. She was surprised. You lit the candle, did you know I would come? Qing Xiu shook his head. I wasn't certain, if you'd come later I might have put out the light. Ashina Yu stood for a moment, calming herself, then took a deep breath and approached. Her cheeks were flushed as she said, I've decided to gamble tonight. Saying that, she walked over and lay down, closing her eyes as if showing she was fully prepared. Her eyelashes trembled, her body was tense and trembling slightly. This showed how nervous she now was. Not yet. Qing Xiu smiled mysteriously and threw over a dark-colored garment. Change into this first. In this situation, how could a dark war garment be missing? What is this? Ashina Yu sat up, lifting the sash straps with a puzzled expression. But after Qing Xiu's explanation, Ashina Yu's face turned bright red. With a look of disdain she said, truly shameless. You're blind, and you expect me to wear this? How can you even see me? Qing Xiu shook his head and urged, don't care whether I can see. If you want a chance to seize me, then stop dithering. Ashina Yu hesitated a moment, then turned away and, following Qing Xiu's instructions, silently changed into the dark war garment. Afterwards she regretted it, because the straps were simply too sexy. Qing Xiu did not rush. He carefully examined her. Exotic beauty akin to a national treasure, skin pale as snow, visible abs, and key was her perfect proportions, over-shoulder width in just the right balance. Truly, broad-minded makes greatness, would not be an exaggeration to describe Ashina Yu. Women with looks who also embody magnanimity are rare. After the brief setup, they moved to the main event. Like watching a movie, time flew. But this movie was long, running for 2 hours with 4 pauses in between. After 2 hours, deep into the night now, Ashina Yu frowned, feeble and said, this time, you must be satisfied, right? Aren't you even a little tired? Are you a bull? Qing Xiu looked content, aren't you the same? Ashina Yu instantly blushed. She tried to push herself up with her arms but was too exhausted to speak. She failed, she had no strength. She began to worry that tonight's plan to seize him would fail because she had no energy. Qing Xiu said, take a rest, then continue. Is it ever going to end? Another half-hour passed. Ashina Yu felt like she had moved bricks at a worksite all day, sore and powerless. She was too tired even to move. Qing Xiu sighed, what a waste. And this is not even 3 hours yet. Ashina Yu felt she had endured the greatest humiliation in the world. Because she was too exhausted, her eyelids grew heavier and within a few breaths she fell into a deep sleep. Only then did Qing Xiu nod in satisfaction. He had relieved Ashina Yu to utter exhaustion. This was his goal. Sure enough, Ashina Yu slept very thoroughly and even lightly snored. This woman actually snored? The next morning, Ashina Yu lifted her heavy eyelids and lazily, heavily turned over. Although she meant to get up, she had no strength left. She intended to take a second sleep. But after turning, she saw a handsome smiling face close by. Ashina flushed and immediately closed her eyes, weakly and helplessly saying, "Last night was too exhausting. I slept until now again, and missed another good chance." Qingxiu suggested, "It's okay. You rest a full day. Tonight there will be another opportunity." Ashina trembled all over, hurriedly opened her eyes, and said fearfully, "No? I plan to rest tonight and then come find you tomorrow." Hee. Qingxiu laughed softly, "All right then. Then you keep sleeping. Looks like tonight I'll go home to deliver taxes." Although Ashina didn't know what taxes were, she didn't bother asking. Moments later, she closed her eyes and slept again. She not only had to endure exhaustion and weakness, but pain too. Ashina felt life was hard. The alcohol prohibition order issued by Li Er had strong aftereffects. Distillers across the Tang lost their income and complained everywhere. But the alcohol brewed in Sanha village became the most popular drink. The reputation of Xinghu village liquor gradually spread across the Tang. Merchants from Longxi, Longnan, Shandong, Luoyang, Taiyuan, and Jiangnan flocked to Chang'an to inquire about the liquor of Xinghu village. Recently, Sanha village had many visitors, especially alcohol merchants, unceasingly. Qingxiu originally thought he'd return home and rest a day, but he ended up hosting alcohol merchants all day, arranged dozens of sales deals, and accidentally earned several 100,000 strings of silver. Though the alcohol business was entirely handled by Su Xiaochun and the steward she trained, it was overwhelming. Qingxiu would not let pregnant Su Xiaochun be overworked. After staying one night in Sanha village, Qingxiu returned to Chang'an in the evening the next day. At night, without Qingxiu inviting her, a rested Ashina came to his room voluntarily. Now Ashina had fully recovered, her energy was abundant. Seeing her enter, Qingxiu joked, "Recovered so fast?" Ashina's pale cheeks reddened. She looked complicated and said, "Tonight I can serve you comfortably, including satisfying your request from the night before, only once at most. Sometimes we must read words carefully." Qingxiu decisively shook his head, "Only once? How is that enough?" Ashina dejectedly said, "I beg you, just once. I'm too tired. After 5 times I'll have no strength to seize you. Otherwise if I shamelessly come for you with no hope, I might as well sleep alone." Qingxiu thought a moment, smiled faintly, and nodded, "All right. Once it is. Then come over and fulfill the proposal I asked last time." Ashina first breathed a sigh of relief, then blushed and nervously said, "But I don't know how." "It's okay, I'll teach you. After all, it's just letting you take a bite, what's so hard?" Ashina men. After a moment. Ashina was like a lone boat on a stormy sea, rising and falling in the waves. Truly, broad-minded makes greatness, she perfectly embodied that. Though a single hand can't clap, Qingxiu helped. Soon 2 hours passed. Ashina was utterly despairing. My heavens, 2 whole hours? Is he even human? Feeling completely hollowed out, she was utterly speechless. Qingxiu this time truly maximized Ashina's one time. Ashina was so exhausted she had no strength. Finally, with endless grievance, she fell into deep sleep. As before, waking up still left her too weak to move. "You're awake." Qingxiu smiled from nearby. Ashina saw the face that filled her with hatred, shut her eyes tight, grit her teeth, and said, "You truly are shameless. Was that your one time? You did it on purpose, you rogue." Qingxiu looked innocent. "This seems unrelated to me, clearly you said, only once. I followed your request. You still have a chance tonight, what are you afraid of?" Ashina's face flashed fear for a moment. She hurriedly shook her head, "No. I think I'll rest tonight. Tomorrow I'll come see you. Haha, rest well. I'll wait here for you tomorrow night." Qingxiu laughed and left the room. Tomorrow night came quickly. Ashina, as usual, arrived on time. But this time, walking in, she said with a cold face, "Let's be clear first, at most once, and not more than half an hour." Li Er's issued ban on alcohol deliveries proved to be very powerful. Across all of the Tang Empire, the wine merchants lost their sources of income and complaints rose everywhere. However, the alcohol brewed in Sanha village quickly became the most popular drink, and the fame of Xingdu village's alcohol gradually spread throughout the Tang. Wine merchants from Longxi and Longnan, Shandong and Luoyang, Taiyuan and Jiangnan all hurried to Chang'an to learn more details about Xingdu village's alcohol. Recently, Sanha village has had especially many outsiders, especially wine merchants. One could say they came without stopping. Qingxiu originally thought coming home would give him some rest for a day, but instead he spent a whole day receiving wine merchants from many places, and while talking business he sold dozens of batches of alcohol contracts. Unintentionally, he made hundreds of thousands of strings of silver. Although the contracts for the alcohol were entirely managed by Su Xiaochun and the steward she trained, Qing Xiu was still somewhat overwhelmed. He would not let Su Xiaochun, who was heavily pregnant, run around busily. They stayed overnight in Sanha village. Only in the early evening of the next day did Qing Xiu return to Chang'an. That very night, he didn't have to say a word. Ashinayu, who had rested for 2 days and 1 night, came to his room by herself. By now Ashinayu had completely shed her fatigue and was clearly full of energy. Seeing Ashinayu enter, Qing Xiu smiled teasingly. "You rested so fast?" Ashinayu's fair cheeks turned red. With a complex look in her eyes she said, "Tonight I can serve you comfortably, including fulfilling your night before last suggestion to bite. However, you are at most allowed once tonight. Sometimes we must learn to split characters apart when reading them." Qing Xiu immediately shook his head and rejected. "Only once? Then how can that be enough?" Ashinayu said helplessly, "I beg you, just once. I'm too tired. After 5 times I simply won't have strength to hold you down anymore. Otherwise it would be shameless of me to come find you again. What for? There's not a bit of hope. I might as well sleep alone quietly." Qing Xiu thought a moment, then lightly smiled and nodded. "Fine, once then, just once. Now come over and fulfill my last suggestion." Ashinayu first exhaled in relief, then blushed and nervously said, "But I don't know how." "It's okay, I'll teach you. After all, it's just letting you take a bite. How hard could that be?" Ashinayu, men. A moment later. Ashinayu was like a lonely boat on the sea, rocking up and down in great waves. As the saying goes, magnanimity makes great, and she perfectly embodied it. Although one person alone was too weak, fortunately Qing Xiu helped. Soon, 2 hours passed. Ashinayu was completely in despair. God, it was actually 2 whole hours? Was he even human? Feeling completely drained, she was utterly speechless. This time Qing Xiu truly took Ashinayu's once to the absolute limit. Ashinayu was so tired she could not muster a bit of strength and finally sank into a deep sleep filled with endless grievance. Just like last time, when she awoke she still felt exhausted and too lazy to move. "Yo, awake!" Qing Xiu nearby said with a smiling squint. Seeing that face she hated so much, Ashinayu closed her eyes tight, grit her teeth and said, "You really are too shameless. This is what you call once? You did it on purpose, you rogue." Qing Xiu looked innocent and said, "That doesn't seem to be my fault. Clearly you said only once, I acted according to your requirement. Anyway, you still have a chance tomorrow night. What are you afraid of?" Ashinayu showed a moment of fear on her face, but she shook her head quickly. No. I rest tonight, and tomorrow I'll come to find you." "Haha, then rest well. Tomorrow night I'll still be right here waiting for you." Qing Xiu laughed heartily and left the room. Tomorrow night came quickly. Ashinayu came exactly on time as usual. But this time, after she entered she said with a cold face, "Let me make it clear in advance, at most once, and one time cannot exceed half an hour." Qing Xiu thought a moment, lightly smiled and nodded. "Fine, as you say." Ashinayu saw the smile on Qing Xiu's face and felt inexplicably anxious and worried. Truly a blind man's smile, your fate is uncertain. What trick would he come up with today? Strangely, today Qing Xiu did not play any tricks. He simply lay down and shamelessly said, "This time, you do all of it yourself." Ashinayu was already speechless. But doing it herself was still better than being forced to do 5 hours of work. So she accepted it. Qing Xiu had underestimated her ability. Within half an hour she used all her strength and finally completed this grand mission. Clouds cleared, rain stopped. Ashinayu was faintly excited, not because of anything else, but because she preserved a lot of strength. This time, though still tiring, compared to the previous 2 times it was much more. Silently she crawled to the table, picked up her golden dagger and placed it by the pillow, softly saying, "Tonight we sleep together. This time, I won't give you any more chances." Qing Xiu involuntarily smiled a little. Smiling eye to eye he said, "A word for you, villains who die talking too much." Ashinayu first had no words, but then thinking it through she felt this was very wise. So she obediently closed her mouth and said no more. Meanwhile Qing Xiu hummed a little tune, and this hum lasted 2 hours straight with no indication of stopping. Ashinayu, exhausted from the past 2 days, eyelids already started fighting each other, they were drooping. Until she heard a rooster crow outside, and the sky beginning to lighten, yet he still hummed that song. Ashinayu suddenly sat up angrily. "Blind man, will you ever stop? Is this the chance you gave me? Either you torture me until I have no strength or you sing songs until midnight. You are too much." "Boo-hoo!" Ashinayu cried. She held her knees, crying like a baby not yet 1 moon old, tears flowing. What a grievance. Such burden on her, never seen someone bully someone so much. She had been slept with so many times, yet saw no hope at all. This made Ashinayu a bit desperate. Qing Xiu offered a sheepish smile. I really didn't single you out. I just plain wasn't sleepy. You stayed up your night, I sang my song. There was no conflict between the two. Moonlight don't sleep. Confused people get drunk, people who are missed are no longer around, life is nothing but piles of recollection. Ashina Yu at this moment truly wanted to strangle this blind man, but this song still sounded somewhat nice. After crying a bit longer, Ashina Yu got tired of crying. She wiped away her tears and fiercely said, you better not let me find the chance. If I get a hold of you, I'll kill you with one knife. She lay down, turned over, but could not sleep at all. Only at dawn did she finally sleep heavily. Before sleeping she still had one thought, next time I will definitely kill this blind man. For the next 5 days, Ashina Yu came every night to accompany him and try to find a chance. But without a doubt, each time she failed. Qing Xiu always found ways to prevent her from taking action. Even if she got a chance, she was always countered before she could act. Ashina Yu fell into despair and for a time considered giving up on these chances. Once two people spend enough time together, it's inevitable that feelings develop. This is what is called feelings growing over time. Perhaps that is the reason recently, whether writing or giving oral, Ashina Yu has seemed very natural. After enduring so many continuous nights, even body-altered Qing Xiu was a bit worn out. When he got up early, he vaguely felt some pain in his waist. It seems in the coming days he must restrain himself, at least not exhaust himself playing until dawn as he had the previous days. At daybreak, Qing Xiu supported his sore waist and walked out of his room. In the front courtyard, Wei Laojiu, who was leading several household guards in morning exercise, saw Qing Xiu come and proactively greeted him. Wei Laojiu's gaze held concern. A bit awkwardly he said, "My lord, though you are still young, you must know moderation. I speak as someone who has gone through it. The first 2 years after marriage I was like you, tasting the marrow and never rested even one night. But as time goes on, the body inevitably can't take it. Now I am very restrained about marital matters. You are still young, you should protect your body. You know old Wang from Sanha village, right?" At just over 30 he could not go on. His wife insulted him every day as a worthless man, even threatened to go out and steal guys, ahem. Qing Xiu's expression turned displeased and he said, "What do you know? Commander Ho does this for the nation. Conquering the Turkic princess as soon as possible will bring peace to the frontier sooner." Wei Laojiu's eyes lit up. He chuckled, "My lord plans to have a child with the Turkic princess, and when the young marquis grows up, he will govern the Turks. In this way, subtly influenced from within, one can thoroughly resolve the calamity of the Turkic barbarians." Qing Xiu laughed softly and nodded. "Well said, that is my intention." Wei Laojiu smiled. "My lord is truly selfless. Striving to make the Princess Ashina Yu's belly grow is also bringing honor to the state." Speaking of bringing honor to the state, just now the innkeeper Miss Yuchan from Baiwei Inn arrived. She said that people from the prominent 5 surnames and 7 lineages delivered many books. After checking to confirm there was no mistake, she gave them the glass-made pen. "My lord, these days have been overly fatigued, and in future Miss Yuchan will also serve as your wife. It would be improper if she saw you sleeping in the same bed with the Turkic princess, so she took the initiative and said that you left early this morning." Qing Xiu nodded satisfactorily. "You handled that well." Wei Laojiu continued, "Miss Yuchan has already left. She asked me to relay this to you when you returned." Qing Xiu responded with a hum. "Send someone to the kitchen to prepare something to eat. After eating, we depart to Baiwei Inn." "Right away." Wei Laojiu walked toward the kitchen. Soon Qing Xiu drank a bowl of millet porridge and ate 2 buns, then left with several guards. After arriving at Baiwei Inn, Ling Yuchan stepped forward to greet him. Today Ling Yuchan looked ethereal. Wearing an emerald-embroidered dress, she exuded celestial grace and noble elegance. Especially on her brow she had deliberately applied a touch of red rouge, instantly elevating her aura. Qing Xiu immediately was reminded of Chang'e Immortal in the Moon Palace. Indeed, her appearance today, her fresh and cool beauty, gave a real sense of a celestial being. After the Lu Xianyi incident became known throughout Chang'an, diners coming to Baiwei Inn, whether wealthy merchants or noble young men, no longer dared to have improper thoughts about the people there. Moreover, in recent days it had been widely reported that Qing Xiu was ennobled as a first-rank marquis stabilizing the nation. Even behavior that previously risked provocation had rarely occurred. As the esteemed concubine of the stabilizing nation marquis, Ling Yuchan was shown courtesy and respect by nearly everyone who came here. As a result, her feelings of gratitude and affection toward Qing Xiu deepened. During the time staying in Sanha village, Ling Yuchan had been trained by Su Xiaochun to be obedient. Although she had not yet been formally taken as a wife, nor had conjugal relations, she had already changed the way she addressed Qing Xiu, calling him husband. Husband, you've come. Ling Yuchan smiled attractively, slipped her arm through his and led him toward the rear courtyard of Baiwei Inn, excitedly saying as they walked, the Liu, Zheng, and Wang families sent 9 full carriages of books. I personally arranged scholars early this morning to review them. They totaled 2,100 volumes. The contents were previously unheard of. With Ling Yuchan's fragrant, gentle body holding his arm and faint maiden scent, he couldn't help but feel distracted. After battling intensely with the Turkic princess for nearly half a month, his fatigued body suddenly felt energized. Arriving in the back courtyard, 9 carriages stood parked, each laden with books with blue covers. He did not look through them himself. Instead he said to Wei Laojiu, Old 9, send someone to the palace to notify His Majesty to arrange people to transport all these books away for careful printing. Remember, have them moved in secret by royal transport, do not publicize. Wei Laojiu immediately set to arrange it. Ling Yuchan looked at him with awe and marveled, Husband, your lofty integrity truly sets a model for all officials. Qing Xiu laughed, pinched her tender face gently and shook his head, I am a nobleman, not an official. I will never be an official in this lifetime, no point in being worn out, and if I do something wrong I'd face impeachment from the censorate. Better for me to be a carefree marquis with a few beautiful wives accompanying me. Ling Yuchan's face reddened. She studied his expression and said softly, Husband, your complexion yesterday looked a bit haggard. Surely these past days you've overworked. Why not let me attend to you in my quarters? I will help relieve your fatigue. An awkward expression flickered across Qing Xiu's face, and inwardly he decided to restrain himself soon, at most one night with the princess, to restore his increasingly depleted body. At the same time, in the residence of the censor-in-chief Lu Shoulin, several elders gathered together, each expression overwhelmingly thrilled. The clan leaders Lu Yuxing, Wang Shutai, Zheng Yu, and clan elders Lu Guangyuan, Wang Boqin, Zheng Taiming sat around a table. Inside a wooden box lay the divine pen that Ling just had. Lu Yuxing picked up the divine pen and examined it carefully. Frowning he said, This divine pen, besides its exquisite appearance, really doesn't have anything especially remarkable. It did not give me a sudden enlightenment feeling. Wang Shutai took the divine pen next, also studied it carefully and nodded, Indeed, it holds no extraordinary quality. Let me see. Zheng Yu also took the pen and looked it over, then suddenly laughed, We just got this divine pen, in less than half an hour, it's strange if it gives us a flash of insight. Ling Gang's grandson Ling Enren also spent day after day with the divine pen before gaining insight. You two are somewhat too impatient. Lu Yuxing and Wang Shutai both nodded in agreement. Beside them, Wang Boqing laughed, regardless, the matter of the Wang, Lu, and Zheng families obtaining the divine pen of the literary star immortal has already spread across Guangzhong in this half-month. The reputation of our 3 families in the Guangzhong region now far surpasses the Cui and Ling families. Right. Zheng Taiming nodded, for our 3 families, this is a truly great blessing. Lu Guangyuan smiled, Clan leaders, yesterday we received news from our hometown. Because of the divine pen's fame scholars have come seeking learning in great numbers, several times more than before. 700 rare volumes exchanged for our reputation, worth more than what we paid. Anyway, the books we delivered were all hand-copied, the real rare originals remain in our family libraries at home, so it does not affect us much. Lu Yuxing smiled and proposed, Guangyuan spoke well. The prestige of our 3 families has reached an unprecedented height. In time, our family members in office will rise significantly in status in the court and gain more voice. If Lingen were here, he would probably burst out laughing. Zheng Yu glanced at Lu Yuxi, smiled calmly and said, Brother Lu, we all come from clans, and while having power of speech is important, I still think that preserving the benefits of our own families should be fundamental. Wang Shutai nodded and said, Brother Zheng is right. The urgent matter now is that we must not allow the trend of free teaching to run rampant. That trend is undoubtedly digging graves for our clans. Wang Wuqing's gaze turned cold. Touching the wound on his chest, he said in a low voice, That damned blind man, remember how he, in front of senior officials at court, slashed me with a sword? That wound still aches. Such humiliation cannot be let go easily. Zheng Taiming sighed, Brother Wuqing, what can we do? Now this man has already been ennobled as a first-rank national marquis, becoming a duke. We cannot find any hook on him in court, it is impossible to make him pay a heavy price. Elder Zheng speaks truly. Standing beside, Lu Shoulin sighed, Perhaps all of you uncles have heard already, some days ago that blind man gave His Majesty a cannon and hand grenades, their power was said to be destructive. Even the emperor declared that Marquis Qing is the pillar of the nation. His Majesty not only granted him the rank of National Marquis but also married his own eldest daughter of lesser status to him. That shows the Emperor's favor. Even if we had some hook on him, as long as it is not the crime of rebellion, His Majesty will not make things difficult for him. And to make matters worse, our censorate's recent performance in court has already aroused the Emperor's displeasure. Because of the Turkic princess incident, a junior member was nearly accused of treason and executed at the market to make an example. His Majesty now loathes the censorate's remonstrators. Just yesterday in court, he dismissed 2 censors. Lu Sholin's words weighed heavily on everyone's mood. Lu Yushi sneered coldly, "That blind man's meritorious service is nothing but merit to the public. Though he strengthens the army, he cannot pacify the people. When it comes to governance, it still rests with scholar bureaucracy from our clans." Wang Buqing's eyes turned dark. He smiled ominously. "Although we cannot remove him in court, he must travel outside sometimes, right? Each of our families keeps loyal death agents. If we do not send them to act, what use is maintaining them?" Wang Shutai gasped, "Assassinating a marquis is treason and conspiracy. If we fail, the death penalty would not fall only on a few death agents. If the matter is exposed, all our families will suffer." Wang Buqing cupped hands and said, "Clan leader, death agents are called so because they are used in critical moments. Their will is to die for achieving their goal. How would they betray those behind them? Moreover, most of these death agents have been brainwashed. Their only will is to die for their clan." Zheng Yu shook his head and said, "The current situation does not yet call for using death agents. We should first discuss the divine pen." He glanced around at the others. Lu Yushi said, "The divine pen belongs to our 3 families jointly. We earlier agreed to take turns in managing it. But who should take it first?" Zheng Yu smiled and said, "I presume I am overconfident, but I am the eldest here and the most experienced, so I should manage it first. What do you 2 think?" Wang Shutai frowned. "Brother Zheng, your point is reasonable. But you cannot demand we yield just because you are the eldest brother. I am the youngest here. Logically, the 2 elder brothers should yield to me." Lu Yushi's mouth twitched. Rolling his eyes he said, "You 2 are arguing about elder and younger, but expect me to be stuck in the middle? If you bicker over age order, maybe I should be the first to manage the divine pen." All looked at each other. Wang Buqing smiled. "What is so difficult? Why don't the 3 elder brothers draw lots to decide?" They thought a moment and nodded in agreement. They began drawing lots. The first drawn was Lu Yushi, Zheng Yu second, Wang Shutai third. Lu Yushi immediately grinned broadly. He cupped his hands toward the others and laughed. "Sirs, I humbly refuse. For the next 4 months, I will manage the divine pen. Do not be disheartened, you shall definitely have your turn." Zheng Yu and Wang Shutai smiled very awkwardly. Wang Shutai's smile looked even worse than crying. Zheng Yu sighed, "If heaven wills it so, we should not resist. I hope, Brother Lu, that in the next 4 months you can gain insight from the divine pen." Wang Shutai nodded. "Since heaven wills it so, we won't fuss further. Brothers, when shall we go to Sanha village to inspect the field?" Wang Buqing replied with a faint smile, "In recent days I've contacted some highly respected scholars in Guangzhou, many of whom were once beneficiaries of the Wang family in Taiyuan. Among them are many who founded academies. It shouldn't be delayed. In this cool weather in the coming days, I suggest we go to Sanha village first thing tomorrow morning. How about it?" Everyone nodded in agreement. Wang Buqing cupped hands. "Then I will notify the other scholars now. Gather tomorrow morning outside the East City Gate." Lu Yushi coldly sneered. "They dare claim to speak up for cold door scholars, boasting that everyone should have access to books, all due to their few drops of ink? Do they truly think our clans are decorations? How utterly ridiculous." Wang Shutai disdainfully said, "We have the divine pen's legacy. It is the literary orthodoxy recognized even by heaven. On this trip, we must thoroughly eliminate the trouble of free teaching." Zheng Yu nodded. "In that case, then tomorrow morning at East City Gate." They parted ways and left Lu Sholin's residence. At this time in Baiwei Inn. In Li Yuchan's office, Qing Xiu sat in the boss chair with eyes closed, resting. Li Yuchan's soft jade-like fingers lightly kneaded his shoulders. While massaging, Li Yuchan smilingly asked, "Husband, the Zheng, Lu, and Wang families have delivered the rare manuscripts. Now that they have the divine pen, they must be full of vigor. I predict that within 3 days they are bound to come looking for trouble. Husband, how do you plan to respond? Let come what comes, meet the soldiers when they come, or dam the water when it rises." Qing Xiu said firmly, then pulled Li Yuchan's jade-smooth little hand and drew her onto his lap. Li Yuchan's face blushed, her eyes full of coy shyness. "By the way, husband, this little box of yours, this box is, what is inside?" Li Yuchan tightly held his hand inside her skirt. Her eyes showed not only curiosity but also a hint of intoxicating affection. Her body began to tremble slightly. Why not open it and see? Li Yuchan innocently blinked her eyes, her pink face pleading, "Husband, don't bully Yuchan anymore. If Chao Wei arrives later she will tease me. I don't want to be unable to lift my head in front of her." Qing Xiu withdrew his hand and wiped his fingers on a handkerchief, then said earnestly, "If she dares to tease you, just tell me, I'll tease her a bit so you can tease her back." Li Yuchan pursed her lips. Husband is not that kind of person. She opened the wooden box and glanced inside. Immediately she was stunned by the brightly colored glass ornaments inside, glittering so much that she felt slightly dizzy and entranced. These glass ornaments, red, pink, green, yellow, also transparent, colorful, even gradient colored, are all different shapes, none are identical, and they dazzled Li Yuchan. Girls always like necklaces, pendants, bracelets, ancient women especially loved hairpins too. Li Yuchan's breathing became rapid, her excited little face turned bright red. She trembled as she said, "Oh my, such beautiful little things, did my husband make all these?" Qing Xiu responded. "You are truly amazing." Li Yuchan looked at him with admiration and forgot to remove his hand from her chest. Qing Xiu closed his fingers calmly and said, "This is just the beginning. The good stuff is still coming. All these ornaments have holes. I told craftsmen to make gold and silver chains. Once strung and worn around the neck, they become exquisite pendants." Li Yuchan began imagining how these ornaments would look around her neck. They must be stunning. Qing Xiu continued, "Not only pendants, but glass-beaded bracelets too. This afternoon I'll have someone bring back the chains from the craftsman's shop and turn everything into finished products. The packaging boxes should also be delivered to Bai Wei Inn. You'll have Zhou Kaiwei spread the word. Starting tomorrow, Bai Wei Inn will hold an auction every noon. Each day will feature over 10 unique ornaments for sale." Li Yuchan was thrilled. Such delicate ornaments are worth much more than jade beads. These will surely become a craze among Chang'an's noble women. "Husband, making money will be inevitable. What starting bid do you plan?" she asked. Qing Xiu answered, 10,000 strings to start, with bids increasing by at least 1,000 strings each time. "Oh, and about this." He took several pieces of paper from his pocket and handed them to Li Yuchan. "These are descriptions of the ornaments. You can embellish them and create a slogan for the glassue jewelry. Call it, 'Water and Eternity, one jewel flows forever.'" Li Yuchan couldn't wait to open the product descriptions. After reading, she was stunned by the content. "You are truly incredible." She cheered joyfully. "Following your idea, if these ornaments represent the symbol of love, imagine how many noble ladies will scramble to bid." Women in later ages cannot resist love symbol jewelry slogans, even knowing they often boost sales, many still chase them wildly. Ancient Tang women all the more so. "Husband." Li Yuchan showed hesitation, her face flushed. "Can I keep one for myself to wear?" "Don't worry, I'll auction it after wearing it a while." Qing Xiu chuckled softly. How could such common things suit the little mistress of a national marquis household? "You deserve something better. I specially had craftsmen make a unique single set just for you. Here." He produced a delicate wooden box from his sleeve. Li Yuchan trembled with anticipation and watched him open it. Inside lay a full set of glass ornaments. Seeing them, she couldn't help but cry softly, "Husband, are all these for me?" Qing Xiu picked up a hairpin and placed it in her hair, smiling, "Of course for you, though it's not only for you. The main wife and the second wife will also have their sets, but I haven't given them theirs yet." Li Yuchan took a small mirror to inspect the hairpin in her hair. It was a pure gold hairpin topped with a colorful flying cicada, exquisite craftsmanship, truly stunning. Besides the hairpin, there was a gold necklace with a teardrop-shaped pendant partly edged in gold, and earrings, gold studs with glass teardrop ornaments hanging. Tears of emotion filled Li Yuchan's eyes. Suddenly she turned and pressed her lips to Qing Xiu's, choking up, "Besides my father, husband, you are the best person in the world to me. Thank you for this set of jewelry. Yuchan loves it." Qing Xiu smiled and asked, "Since you like it, how will you thank me?" Li Yuchan froze briefly, then after blinking, her face turned bright red, and she trembled. "Husband, wait just a moment, Yuchan will thank you shortly." She turned and moved toward the door. Qing Xiu wasn't sure what she intended. But when he saw Li Yuchan lock the door behind her, his heart skipped a beat. Was she planning something in the office? Even though he had often wanted to try office fun, it was lunchtime and crowded. Was she about to broadcast it live? But soon Qing Xiu realized his worry was needless. After locking the door, Li Yuchan came before him, nodded, and then slowly knelt and began attending to something. Qing Xiu gasped, resting his palm on her head. After a moment he asked, "You're a virgin with no experience, how do you already know so much?" Li Yuchan made a small sound and switched hands, looking up trembling. It's Sister Yunyang who taught me these days. She said that no matter how beautiful a woman's face is, a man will eventually get tired of it. But skill and oral technique never fade. Qing Xiu's lip twitched. Yunyang, you truly are a wonderful daughter-in-law. Though it was Li Yuchan's first time, she inherited Yunyang's skills deeply. Her talent in this was extraordinary, surpassing even Yunyang. In less than half an hour, Qing Xiu was completely defeated, truly a crushing loss. He took a deep breath, feeling strange guilt, and rubbed Li Yuchan's head. Go wash your face now. From that point, the distance between them significantly closed. After Li Yuchan freshened up, she escaped with an excuse to prepare his lunch. It was her first time experiencing such things. It was no surprise she fled. But soon she returned to the office. Seeing Qing Xiu, her pretty face reddened and she dared not look at him. She quietly said, "Husband, His Majesty has arrived. I arranged for him in private room number 1 on the first floor. His Majesty asked me to inform you." Qing Xiu was surprised. Why did Li Yi come to Baiwei Inn at this moment? Is he alone or with family? He asked. Li Yuchan softly replied, His Majesty only brought a few guards. He said he already went to the Marquis's residence but could not meet you. He asked servants and found out you were at Baiwei Inn, so he came here. He said His Majesty requested you come quickly, there is an important matter to discuss. Understood. Prepare some wine and dishes to send over. After giving instructions, Qing Xiu went to the first floor. Inside room number 1 sat only Li Yi, his guards waiting at the door. Your Majesty, Qing Xiu first bowed. Li Yi smiled, no need for formality, Marquis Qing. You sent those manuscripts to the palace this morning. I reviewed some, they are rich in content, many I've never seen before. Your generosity in delivering over 2,000 volumes to the palace speaks for struggling scholars everywhere. I thank you on behalf of them. Li Yi spoke sincerely and bowed. Qing Xiu promptly supported him up and wryly said, Your Majesty, please don't flatter me too much. Li Yi wasn't being pretentious, he quietly whispered in Qing Xiu's ear, My informants from the 5 surnames and 3 clans reported today that the Wang family of Taiyuan, Zheng of Xingyang, and Lu of Fanyang began contacting scholars in Guangzhou over half a month ago. They seem to be allying together against you. Today these 3 families have new moves, they've decided to make a move against you in Sanha village tomorrow morning. I came personally to inform you, and to ask if Marquis Qing can handle it. Qing Xiu's expression turned slightly animated. Finally, it was coming. Li Yi, who had originally been very worried for him, was truly bewildered by his excited look. Once Qing Xiu showed that flash of excitement and anticipation, Ling Yi at first didn't understand why. But then he realized that the Wang, Lu, and Zheng families picked this particular time carefully, there must be a reason. That reason was that they got the divine pen given by the immortal to Ling Gang, and now by suppressing Qing Xiu, they wanted to expand their own influence, boost their clan's prestige, and squelch the rising trend of free teaching. At that thought, Ling Yi smiled, and even showed excitement and expectation himself. Ling Yi asked with a smile, Marquis Qing, you must already have a plan. Can you tell me how you intend to deal with tomorrow's situation? After all, the divine pen had been made by Qing Xiu to deceive the 5 surnames and 7 prominent clans, and it had already achieved huge success. He probably already had a plan in motion. Qing Xiu gave a faint smile, the plan is simple. Allow me to keep it a mystery. Tomorrow, Your Majesty will know exactly what I intend. Ling Yi was a bit displeased, what you say really makes me itch with curiosity. If you won't reveal it now, fine, I'll go incognito to Sanha village tomorrow to see what medicine you are selling. Qing Xiu nodded, then I humbly await Your Majesty's arrival. By the way, Ling Yi suddenly said seriously, Marquis Qing, those 1 million pamphlets of short stories you had printed, I've reviewed them. The content is truly infuriating. What do you intend to do with those? Qing Xiu smiled and explained, Your Majesty, those printed materials have 2 names, one is a leaflet, the other is an advertisement. Oh, Ling Yi said with sudden understanding and asked, how do you intend to use these leaflets and advertisements? Qing Xiu answered, leaflets deliver simple messages, advertisements spread them widely. Didn't Your Majesty always dislike the Dou clan but lacked a good reason to eliminate them? Ling Yi raised an eyebrow and said in a low voice, I see your meaning. When you said, spread widely, were you wanting me to distribute those leaflets and ruin the Dou clan's reputation? Qing Xiu shook his head, that would be too simple. Ling Yi hesitated, I still feel that this might be too cruel. My biological mother, Empress Taimu, came from the Dou clan. If the Dou family is forced to bear such an eternal infamy unjustly, it could greatly affect my mother's reputation. Qing Xiu hesitated briefly, then said, Your Majesty, let me explain my full plan. I actually have a method to fly to the sky. In 1 or 2 hours, we can distribute all the pamphlets across every corner of Guangzhou. Lingyi suddenly trembled and gasped, a flying method? He looked at Qingxiu in shock, imagining him soaring through clouds. Qingxiu nodded, yes, people will fly into the sky and scatter the leaflets from above, in places where crowds gather, with agents staged ahead. These agents must be very persuasive speakers, those who can stir emotions with just a few words. The stories on the leaflets may be false, but no one knows that. With the right instigators, the public will believe them. Just a few initiators shouting, "Let us eliminate the Dou clan." Your Majesty, imagine what that scene would look like. Lingyi kept gasping, his scalp tingling. If that happens, some righteous citizens might rashly storm the Dou clan's mansions in Chang'an and destroy property, and many in the Dou family might suffer fatal harm. Qingxiu chuckled, Your Majesty, don't imagine the common people as bandits. The people of Tang are honest, they wouldn't do that. If unlawful chaos occurs, it would be seen as Your Majesty causing it. Lingyi's lip twitched, his face turning as dark as a pot bottom. Your Majesty should understand my intent clearly. The cruelty of the act is for you to decide, not to follow public opinion blindly. He coughed twice and nodded, I understand. But I am very curious, did Marquis Qing really master a flying technique? Lingyi's eager gaze stared at him, could you also teach me this flying method? I'd like to ascend to the clouds, embrace the moon, gaze over all of Chang'an. Qingxiu laughed, I do indeed have the method, but cannot grant it to Your Majesty yet. When I build a device that can allow flight, then Your Majesty can ascend whenever you choose. Disappointment flickered in Lingyi's eyes, I thought, it was the power of that device. I assumed Marquis Qing himself could fly. If Qingxiu weren't blindfolded, he would have rolled his eyes. Did Lingyi seriously think he was dreaming? Lingyi quickly recovered. Clapping his hands with a smile, very well, then I await Marquis Qing to bring me skyward. Qingxiu nodded, once I've solved tomorrow's problems, I will begin crafting the flying device. Ha ha, it's a promise. Soon after, Lingyi shamelessly had a meal and returned to the palace. That afternoon, Qingxiu instructed a household guard to retrieve gold and silver necklace chains and bracelets from the jeweler, and he personally taught several attendants how to make glass U pendants. The work went on until evening. Li Yuchan was tidying necklaces and bracelets that attendants had strung, smiling softly, Husband, in an hour the curfew begins. You still have important matters tomorrow. Now it's time to return to Sanha village. Qingxiu said seriously, you and I are going together. Li Yuchan was startled, why? Could you have forgotten about tomorrow afternoon's auction? Qingxiu grabbed her pert backside and smiled, if you arrive early in the morning, you'll still make it. Li Yuchan's face blushed. Something in her heart told her yes. Her pulse quickened, cheeks shyly nodded, all as you say, husband. Not long after, they boarded a carriage and left the city before curfew. As for Ashinayu in the Marquis's mansion, let her stay guarding an empty room. At that moment, a guard arrived and told Ashinayu that the Marquis was returning to Sanha village. After the guard left, Ashinayu scrunched her nose and pouted, humph, going to Sanha village without warning, what a waste of my efforts. She locked the door, stripped off her clothes, and also removed that black bra and the suspenders of black silk. She lay down on the bed, a tear slipping from her eye, her mood muddled, I'm not clean anymore. Ashinayu felt that expecting to find an opportunity to seize him was basically impossible. He surely wouldn't let her go easily, and sneaking away was out of the question. Now the only thing she could do was serve him well. Once his feelings for her grew over time, she would ask him to let her return home. Otherwise, the Turkic people could face complete destruction. On the carriage, Li Yuchan's cheeks bloomed like rosy clouds, her eyelashes cast down shyly. She didn't know exactly why her husband brought her back, but in her heart she felt both nervousness and anticipation. After returning to Sanha village, Qingxiu first made a brief greeting at home, then brought a box of items to the village school teacher's office. The teachers here are all poor scholars from nearby villages, ambitious but struggling. They hoped education could change their fate. They grew up poor and simple, with narrow horizons and only memorized dead texts. They weren't talented for officialdom or business, so they remained impoverished scholars. These scholars once thought their lives would be fixed and unchanging. But the school in Sanha village gave them a chance. They not only learned much from the materials Qingxiu provided, they also earned several strings of silver each month for teaching. They couldn't even dream of this before, for teaching in a poor village previously, they could barely earn a few copper coins a month. In Sanha village they both gained knowledge and earned decent money, they treasured the opportunity and deeply appreciated Qingxiu. The academy director, Zhang Shuekue, was a scholar teaching for over 30 years. When Zhang saw Qing Xiu enter with a wooden box, he stood quickly and bowed respectfully. "Greetings, Mr. Qing." Qing Xiu set the box on the desk and waved. "No need for formality, Director Zhang." Curiously, Zhang asked, "You seldom come to our school, and classes have ended already. May I ask why you're here at this time? Is there a task?" Qing Xiu tapped the box and smiled. "I came to deliver something." Then he opened the box. When Zhang saw the contents, his eyes widened and his body trembled. My heavens, how could there be so many glass and jade brushes? Indeed, the box was filled with nothing but glass jade writing brushes. Zhang gasped, "Mr. Qing, these must be the divine brushes that were gifted by the immortal to Master Li Gang in his dreams?" Qing Xiu smiled and confirmed, "Yes, exactly that." Zhang froze for a moment, then burst into laughter. "I understand now. The divine brushes came from this. Mr. Qing, please instruct, I will cooperate and help you put on a good show." Zhang wasn't foolish but sharp. In his youth he had been on track to become an official, but offended a powerful figure. Even after ranking high in exams, he was not selected. He thus became a teacher. From these glass jade brushes, he deduced the scheme's nature, and Qing Xiu was pleasantly surprised. Qing Xiu said, "Very simple. There are over 50 brushes here. Early tomorrow during morning class, distribute them to the children studying here. But after a few days, collect all the brushes back." Zhang placed his chest with a solemn vow. "Don't worry, Mr. Qing, I guarantee not a single brush will be missing." "Good, then it's entrusted to you. Safe journey, Mr. Qing." Qing Xiu planned to retrieve the brushes later because glass-made brushes are poorly practical, slippery with sweat, fragile when dropped, far worse than wooden brushes. Another reason, over 50 brushes, selling at 1 string of silver each, it amounts to a several 10,000 string income. Leaving the school and walking on the street, many villagers greeted him. Some street vendors finishing up also enthusiastically offered food. Qing Xiu politely declined, but could not resist the local folks' warmth. They insisted, stuffing snacks into his arms. He emerged finally from the crowd, only to find 3 rich-looking stunning women standing in front. At his arrival, Lu Yunyan blushed slightly and bowed. "Greetings, Mr. Qing." "Greetings, Mr. Qing," added Xiao Shuixian and Shan Xiao behind her. Qing Xiu nodded and calmly asked, "How is the recent training going?" Lu Yunyan softly replied, "From these children I selected 80 with talent. I personally lead their training. The others are assigned to Shuixian and Xiao. Good job. Here, take these. You can rest once we leave." He gave them the food villagers gifted, and couldn't resist grabbing Lu Yunyan's firm chest. She trembled, her legs weakened, face reddened down to the neck. After Qing Xiu departed, Shan Xiao stared at Lu Yunyan in shock. "Sister, I just saw Mr. Qing touch your chest. Why didn't you avoid him? Even if we can't resist, couldn't you at least move away?" That embarrassed Lu Yunyan further. She looked away awkwardly, pretending indifference. "How was I to know he'd touch my chest? I thought he was only delivering food. I didn't expect that." Shan Xiao angrily said, "That rogue, daring to lewdly grope our teacher, ugh." Her eyes teared. She helplessly said, "Who can resist when we're beneath his roof? At this point, we just have to accept it." Xiao Shuixian secretly understood everything. Regret touched her delicate face. Teacher's fall was one thing, would even miss fall? She knew teacher had gone missing one night, that must mean she went to his room. Xiao Shuixian recalled teacher's earlier advice, "If he wants you, don't refuse, just serve him." Something like that. But why didn't teacher choose me? She couldn't understand. Did he think I'm ugly? No way, my beauty is rare. Because of embarrassment, Lu Yunyan put down the food and excused herself to take a bath, locking herself in. At night, Su Xiaochun hadn't seen Qing Xiu and asked, "Yunyang, where is Mr. Qing? He's still not here and it's time for bed." "Where'd he go?" Yunyang covered her lips, smiled and softly said, "Sir is in Yuchan's room." Su Xiaochun laughed and teased, "That lecher, he's been holding back so long. Finally can't resist Yuchan." Yunyang giggled, "True enough. He should have taken her in long ago, don't know what he's waiting for." Beside them, Changsun Pingting frowned, worried, "Two sisters, I heard a major thing happened at court recently. It said His Majesty wants a final battle with the Turks, but lacks a reason. It said the Turkic Khan from the northern desert owes our husband a lot of silver. His Majesty allowed him to detain the Khan. Don't know if it's true." Su Xiaochun's face changed. "Turkic Khan? Pingting, who told you this?" Pingting replied, "Many in court know. I also heard it a few days ago visiting my family, my brother said." Su Xiaochun, somewhat angry, "How could Mr. Qing do that? He already has several wives, we don't interfere. But targeting a foreign Khan? The Turks are our enemies. No way should our husband entangle with a barbarian woman. I heard Turks bathe only 3 times in their lives, at birth, marriage, before death. How filthy is that Khan? At that she looked utterly disgusted. When Su Xiaochun said that, Zhang Sun Pingting looked surprised. Sister, do you have some misunderstanding about the Turks? Su Xiaochun asked doubtfully, what misunderstanding? Did I say something wrong? Zhang Sun Pingting shook her head and chuckled. Actually, Turks don't bathe only 3 times in their lives. It's just that most of them don't have the conditions to bathe. The Turks live in the northern deserts. They are nomads and mainly live off animal husbandry. Besides the grasslands, most of the northern desert is mountainous, and water resources are very scarce. Only a few tribes live near water sources. Most people rely on drinking sheep's and cow's milk, so most of them carry a strong and pungent smell of sheep. If they don't even have water to drink, how could they have extra water to bathe? Most Turks can only wait for rainy days to wash their bodies. Bathing a few times a year is still possible. As for bathing 3 times in a lifetime, that's a complete rumor spread by folks in the Shuafang area. As for the Turkic princess, she completely has the means to bathe every day. Our husband is such a clean person, how could he be interested in a barbarian woman who doesn't bathe? After hearing this, Su Xiaochun suddenly understood and rolled her eyes. Even if that Turkic princess bathes daily and smells fragrant, our husband still shouldn't get involved with her. He's a noble Tang man, how could he get entangled with a barbarian woman? If word got out, wouldn't his reputation be ruined? Zhang Sun Pingting nodded. Sister is right, I think the same. Yunyang asked, so what are you planning to do? You can't just go to master and talk about it, right? He might get angry. Su Xiaochun thought for a moment and said, how about this, Pingting, when the master goes to Sanha village, find an excuse to return to your maternal home, go to our house in Chang'an, and see if that Turkic princess is there. If you see Wei Laojiu, ask him clearly what's going on. Zhang Sun Pingting nodded and agreed happily to the suggestion. Back courtyard. Li Yuchan helped Qingxiu take off his outer robe, her voice slightly trembling. Husband, it's getting late. We should rest. The candlelight made her flawless face blush delicately. Qingxiu had no hesitation and leaned in to kiss her, his hands wandering. Li Yuchan quickly couldn't resist. After a while, she was gasping for breath, her eyes becoming hazy. Qingxiu whispered in her ear, show me everything you learned from Yunyang. I want to see if you were slacking off during your training. Li Yuchan, bashful and shy, nodded repeatedly after a moment. Soon, Qingxiu pressed forward, and Li Yuchan's soft voice like light rain whispered, husband, please be gentle. I will, my dear. The room was soon filled with the sounds of spring and melodious whispers. The next morning, Qingxiu was fully dressed. Today, instead of his usual black robe, he wore a white scholar's robe. He looked like a noble young gentleman in a troubled world. At the dining table, Zhang Sun Pingting held a bowl of porridge, squinting and smiling at Li Yuchan, putting seasonal greens into her bowl teasingly. Here, Sister Yuchan, as a newlywed, you should eat more to regain your strength. Li Yuchan blushed and almost buried her face in the bowl. Su Xiaochun said unhappily, what do you mean, Sister Yuchan? It's Sister Yuchan, she's 4 years older than you. Zhang Sun Pingting giggled, so what if she's 4 years older? She married into the family later. No one can call me the youngest wife anymore. Everyone should start calling me the 3rd wife now. Li Yuchan, blushing, shyly said, Sister Pingting is right. I married later, so I should be ranked last. Qingxiu joked with a smile, do you like being the youngest? Li Yuchan was stunned, then said shyly, as long as I can be with husband, ranking doesn't matter to me. See? Su Xiaochun tapped Zhang Sun Pingting's head and said sternly, look at Yuchan's sense. Much better than yours. You cheeky little girl only know how to tease others. When you married in, did Yunyang and I ever make fun of you? Zhang Sun Pingting stuck out her tongue and laughed. Okay, I won't tease Sister Yuchan anymore. Even though you rank last, you're older than me, so I should call you sister. Qingxiu suddenly put down his bowl and said, rubbing his chin, if you all want higher ranks, that's easy, I just need to marry a few more. Su Xiaochun glared at him angrily. Marry, that's all you know. Just think about it. How many women are you already entangled with outside of us? At least 3 or 4, I'd say. Ah? Qingxiu looked innocent. Really? I don't think so. Wife, you've misunderstood me. Su Xiaochun scoffed. You know very well whether it's true or not. Do I have to name them one by one? Qingxiu pulled a straight face to cover his embarrassment and said seriously, mind your tone. Is that how you speak to the master of the house? Su Xiaochun snorted and ignored him, while also warning Yunyang, Zhang Sun Pingting, and Li Yuchan not to talk to him either. Finally, Su Xiaochun said fiercely, don't leave the door open for him tonight. Let him spend the night with his wild women. Just then, a graceful figure walked in from outside. It was Lin Feifei. Ever since her textile workshop opened, she had been running around major fabric markets to do business. When it got late, she'd stay the night at Qing Mansion in Qinglong Ward. If she returned early, she'd supervise the textile workshop until late at night. Sometimes, she was so busy she just slept with the staff at the factory. Last night, she had been too busy and didn't come home. After entering the room, Lin Feifei poured herself a bowl of plain water and gulped it down. Then she looked at the happy family eating breakfast. She said with envy, "I really envy your good fortune, not having to run around and work like I do." Hee hee. Zhang Sun Pingting teased, "Isn't that easy? Put on a pretty dress and seduce our husband, let him take you in, and then we'll be one family. You can join us at the table too." Lin Feifei blushed and looked away. Su Xiaochun flicked Zhang Sun Pingting's forehead and scolded, "Say nonsense again and I won't feed you." Zhang Sun Pingting looked aggrieved. Qingxiu frowned and said sternly, "Pingting, stop talking nonsense. How can we let her join us at the table? We haven't accepted that." The originally ambiguous topic was completely twisted by Qingxiu's joke, making all the women burst into laughter. Even the graceful Yunyang started giggling. On the official road outside Chang'an City, a group of people was gathered together, about 20 or so. Each of them wore scholar robes and were cupping their hands to greet one another. "Mr. Li, long time no see. How is your health lately?" "Brother Jiang, thanks to you, this old man is quite healthy." "Master Zhou, I heard one of your students entered the secretariat. That's an important position. You'll be enjoying some good fortune soon." "Haha, not at all." "Brother Buqing, is everyone here? When shall we set off?" Wang Buqing looked around with a smile, cupped his hands to the crowd, and said, "Thank you all for coming to support me. I truly appreciate your effort." Master Zhou laughed, "Brother Buqing, what are you saying? Back when I studied at the Wang household, I benefited greatly from your help. If we succeed today, may I spend a few days in your family's library again?" Wang Buqing looked toward the Wang family patriarch, Wang Shutai. Wang Shutai nodded with a smile. Wang Buqing then said with a smile, "Of course." Zheng Yu urged, "No time to waste, let's depart now." The group boarded their carriages one by one and headed mightily toward Sanha village. Li Er had come early to the school in Sanha village. Even Li Yuan, who hadn't been seen in a while, showed up. Li Yuan looked rosy and cheerful, always smiling. Inside the dean's office, Zhang Xuekue was busy boiling water to make tea. Qingxiu laughed and chatted with Li Yuan, "Old Li, why are you so happy today?" Since Li Er had come incognito and didn't want to reveal his identity, Qingxiu addressed him as Mr. Li, and still called Li Yuan Old Li. Li Yuan had lived in Sanha village for half a year and had blended in well with the locals. Except for a few, no one knew his identity. As for Li Er, even fewer people recognized him. Upon hearing Qingxiu ask, Li Yuan stroked his beard and smiled. This old man thought of something joyful. Qingxiu smirked and joked, "What? Your wife gave birth?" Li Er's eyes widened, looking utterly shocked. Li Yuan was even more stunned. He stood up abruptly and exclaimed, "How did you know my concubine gave birth to a son?" Qingxiu staggered and nearly fell from his chair, his face twisted in disbelief. Dean Zhang almost dropped the kettle in his hand and looked at Li Yuan with admiration. Dean Zhang quickly poured several cups of tea, handed one to Li Yuan with both hands, and said admiringly, "Brother, you're really not old yet. To have a child at your age, you're a role model for all of us." "Brother Li, to be honest, I had a son, but he died of illness a few years ago. My wife took a concubine for me to continue the family line, but it's been over 5 years and there's been no movement. My wife has a bad temper and often hits the concubine over this. I fear my wife and dare not speak. But I can't stand her beating the concubine anymore. Brother Li, can you teach me how to have a child at this age?" Li Yuan took the tea and set it aside, pulling Zhang Xuekue aside. "I'll explain it later. I don't have time now to teach you how to have children." He stood up and leaned close to Qingxiu, asking in shock, "Qing boy, how did you know my concubine gave birth to a son? No one knows this. It's really shocking you found out." Qingxiu's mouth twitched constantly. "Old Li, aren't I the one who should be shocked? Tell me, how did you know?" Li Yuan pressed. Qingxiu smiled bitterly, "I was just joking. Who knew it'd turn out true? Old man, you're really something. At your age, you became a dad?" Li Yuan glared and shouted, "You were joking with me? Never mind. Since you know, so be it." Li Yuan sat back down, looking at Li Er with a guilty expression. Li Er rubbed his temples helplessly. Qingxiu smirked, "You became a father, this is big news. The neighbors should all know so they can share the joy. Why hide it?" Cough, cough. Li Er coughed and said darkly, Qingxiu, mind your words. Qingxiu stopped smiling, he felt bad for Li Er. Truly an unlucky family matter. Li Yuan awkwardly said, Qing boy, don't ask anymore. And don't spread it. It's nothing to be proud of. Din Zhang thought about it and also found it a bit shameful. He looked at Li Er with pity. A grown son now has a newborn baby brother. Who could take that? But still, he asked, Brother Li, please teach me. I really want a son. Li Yuan had a headache. Qingxiu said helplessly, Din Zhang, stop thinking about children. Old Li has good family conditions. He ate rich, nutritious foods when young, so his body functions well. Having a child at his age isn't surprising. But you're different. You come from a poor background. You barely had enough to eat growing up. Even now, you're not getting enough nutrients. Being able to perform in bed once is already impressive, having kids? Basically impossible. Zhang Xuekui's expression darkened, then he smiled bitterly and nodded, Mr. Qing is right. I've been too obsessed. At that moment, Qingxiu raised an eyebrow and showed a teasing expression. Because the large group coming to cause trouble had entered his god's eye view range. As time passed, the carriage convoy finally reached the east side of Sanha village. More than 20 elderly scholars, around 50 years old, stepped down from the carriages, looking imposing. Passers-by all looked curiously. Though strangers came through the village every day, and out-of-towners were common, such a large group was rare. Street vendors began to chatter. Wang Buqing, familiar with the way, led them to Qingxiu's home. The gatekeeper on duty today was Xuanzi. Qingxiu had warned him in the morning that troublemakers might come. So Xuanzi had a bad attitude. He cursed, coming here early in the morning to see our Lord Ho? What, did he rape your daughter? Why are there so many of you? Wang Buqing's eyes widened in anger and shouted, how dare you? You're just a servant, how can you speak so rudely? Your Lord Ho really doesn't know how to manage his people if he lets a crude man like you be gatekeeper. Xuanzi's face darkened and said coldly, you damn dog. You called me a gate dog? Wang Buqing snorted angrily, so what if I did? Not just a gate dog, a mad dog with no manners. Mad dog? Xuanzi's face twitched, then showed a wicked smile. He barked, woof woof woof. Woof woof woof. Everyone was stunned. But after barking, Xuanzi really pounced on Wang Buqing like a mad dog, opened his mouth, and bit him. Wang Buqing screamed. His face turned pale with fear, and the others stood in shock. Even Qingxiu, watching from God's eye view, was dumbfounded and his mouth twitched hard. My ear, let go of me. Wang Buqing struggled and howled, his face full of fear. Ah! With a blood-curdling scream, Wang Buqing clutched his bleeding ear and crawled and rolled away as fast as he could. Xuanzi did not chase him. He casually spat out the ear he had bitten off, then spat out a mouthful of blood, revealing a row of big white teeth. He grinned and said, woof. I'm a mad dog. I bite whoever I want. Which one of you isn't convinced? The people who had come with Wang Buqing were horrified by this bloody scene and fell into brief silence, their scalps tingling. Wang Buqing looked at the ear on the ground and his face changed drastically, a mix of shock and anger. You madman. You actually bit off my ear? Mad dog. You really are a mad dog. Xuanzi took a few big steps forward, sneering, old freak, call me a mad dog again and I'll bite off your other ear too, believe it or not. Everyone took a few steps back in fear, afraid of being pounced on and bitten. The Wang family patriarch, Wang Shutai, looked furious and said, you brat, how dare you? Do you know who you just bit? Xuanzi glared, baring his teeth, I don't care who he is. Even if he's the Jade Emperor, I'll still bite him. Who told that old freak to call me a mad dog? What, you old codger want to stick up for him? As he spoke, Xuanzi placed his hand on the handle of his tang saber, and his expression turned colder. Wang Shutai's heart skipped a beat, and his tone weakened, but he still coldly snorted, humph, I'm a scholar. I wouldn't stoop to your level. After I meet with Marquis of Lantian, I'll deal with you. Xuanzi sneered, what Marquis of Lantian? He's clearly the Marquis of Zhenghua. Why are you here to see my lord? Spit it out if you have something to say. Wang Shutai didn't want to argue with a gatekeeper. He said with a dark face, we've long admired the Marquis of Zhenggua's reputation. Today, we came specially to meet him. Go report it. Xuanzi shook his head, my lord isn't home. Come another day. Not home? Wang Shutai froze. He exchanged glances with Zheng Yu and Lu Yusheng. Did they come all this way for nothing? Then where did your lord go? When will he be back? Zheng Yu stepped forward and asked. Xuanzi pointed to a cluster of buildings not far away and said seriously, my lord is at the school. He'll probably be back at night. When he returns, I'll naturally inform him someone came looking for him. Zheng Yu's mouth twitched, face dark, are you messing with me? Xuanzi crossed his arms and grinned. Who's messing with you? I told the truth. What, should I lie and say he's home? You, humph. Zheng Yu snorted coldly and turned around. Everyone, let's go to the Sanha village school. Wang Buqing, clutching his bleeding ear, looked pale and trembled as he said, Patriarchs, colleagues, I need to see a doctor. I probably can't join you today. Wang Shutai asked with concern, Buqing, how do you feel? Wang Buqing forced a smile, I need to stop the bleeding, or I might die from blood loss. Wang Shutai quickly said, then go see the doctor immediately. Don't delay a moment. Lu Yuxing added, doesn't Sanha village have a clinic? How did we forget that? I heard Dr. Sun Simiao practices there. Let him bandage you up. Guang Yuan, take brother Buqing to the village clinic and find Dr. Sunday. Lu Guang Yuan hesitated, Patriarch, last time we clashed with Dr. Sun at court. He might not help. Lu Yuxing shook his head, a doctor has a compassionate heart. I heard Dr. Sun has great medical ethics and won't lower himself to your level. Wang Buqing also said urgently, then let's go to the clinic. Brother Guang Yuan, please also retrieve my ear and see if Dr. Sun can reattach it. Lu Guang Yuan looked stunned, but didn't say anything to avoid discouraging him. Can the ear be reattached? The answer is yes, but only with advanced surgical skill. Lu Guang Yuan picked up the ear and helped Wang Buqing walk toward the village clinic. The others went to the school. After everyone left, Xuanzi's eyes lit up. He rushed back to the kitchen, grabbed a handful of dried chili peppers, and returned to the gatehouse. He grinned and said to a family guard, Old Yang, go give this to Dr. Sunday, tell him to grind it and add it to the medicine powder. Be sure to go around quietly. Hurry. Old Yang had witnessed the whole scene. Though tempted, he frowned, Captain, Dr. Sun is a kind doctor. He might not do this. That's easy. Xuanzi grumbled, just exaggerate what happened. Tell Taoist Sun that these people want to ruin Lord Ho. Their goal is to stop the free school and clinic. What do you think will happen? Old Yang's eyes lit up, stroking his chin, I guess he might add not only chili powder but also a handful of sand, or even gunpowder. Haha, go! On it! Old Yang ran out and took a shortcut to the clinic. By the time Wang Buqing arrived, Old Yang was already back. After examining the injury, Sun Simiao shook his head, forget about reattaching the ear. I'll stop the bleeding for you. He took out a bowl of pitch-black powder, just freshly mixed, full of gunpowder, and pulled out a pestle, throwing the chilies in for grinding. Wang Buqing asked confusedly, Taoist Sun, what's that bright red stuff? Sun Simiao said expressionlessly, wild herbs from the mountain. Great for bleeding and wound recovery. But it'll hurt, bear with it. Wang Buqing nodded and forced a smile, that brat bit off my ear and I didn't scream. How bad can some medicine be? Just add more so I heal faster. Sun Simiao's mouth twitched slightly, face turning red as he ground faster. Soon, the medicine powder was ready. Wang Buqing was baffled, Taoist Sun, why is your powder black and red? Sun Simiao snapped, why so many questions? Annoying. This is my secret formula. No one's ever complained about it. If you don't want it, leave now and stop wasting other patients' time. Apply it, apply it. Wang Buqing quickly nodded and leaned his head over. Hold still. I'm starting. Soon, screams like a pig being slaughtered echoed from the clinic, spreading throughout Sanha village. The shrill screams made the clan leaders of the 5 surnames and 3 clans, along with the accompanying scholars, all tremble with unease. Wang Shutai's expression changed as he looked in the direction of the clinic. He was very familiar with that scream, it was Wang Buqing's. Lu Guang Yuan asked nervously, Old Wang, could something have happened to your Buqing? Wang Shutai also spoke with concern, wasn't Guang Yuan with him? Why does Buqing sound so miserable? No, I must go see. I'll go with you. I'm going too, Zheng Yu added. Wang Shutai cupped his hands toward the others, please wait a moment, we'll be right back. Soon, the 3 clan leaders entered the clinic. The screams inside continued. Ah, it hurts. Taoist Sun, what kind of medicine are you applying? Don't move. This is my own secret recipe. It works wonders on external injuries. Normally, I wouldn't waste such valuable medicine on just anyone. If you can't stand a bit of pain, then go to Chang'an and find some quack. Sun Simiao sounded extremely impatient, with a hint of irritation. Wang Buqing's face twisted in pain, and he said through gritted teeth, I think you're getting back at me for what happened at court. You must have mixed something else into the powder. Sun Simiao shouted angrily, Wang, you can question my medical skill, but you may not insult my ethics. I won't treat you anymore. Get out of my clinic right now. Guang Yuan, we're leaving. Wang Buqing grabbed Lu Guang Yuan and tried to leave. At that moment, Wang Shutai, Lu Yuxing, and Zheng Yu all walked into the clinic. Wang Shutai frowned and scolded, "Buqing, what treatment isn't painful? Just endure it. Taoist Sun is a divine doctor. His medicine is worth its weight in gold. Don't you understand that good medicine tastes bitter?" But, Wang Buqing's lips trembled. "It hurts too much. Like my flesh is being scraped off." Lu Yuxing frowned and said, "It's just applying medicine, how painful can it be? You're over 40 years old, haven't you endured hardships before? Only by enduring bitter suffering can one reach the top." Wang Shutai quickly cupped his hands to Sun Simiao. "Please forgive him, Taoist Sunday Buqing didn't mean any offense. He's just terribly afraid of pain. I hope you won't take it to heart." Sun Simiao snorted and waved his hand, "No matter. There are still spots that haven't been treated. If you want me to continue, sit still. If it hurts too much, then find someone else." Wang Shutai glared at Wang Buqing and shouted, "Buqing, sit down this instant. Show some respect to Taoist Sun." Wang Buqing gritted his teeth and sat down again, a forced smile on his face. "Taoist Sun, I apologize. I was too impulsive just now. Please continue applying the medicine." Sun Simiao truly disliked these people. With a cold face, he grabbed a handful of medicine powder and sprinkled it on. The screaming started again, louder than before. Wang Buqing was drenched in sweat. Then his eyes rolled back and he fainted. Wang Shutai rushed forward to catch him. Lu Guangyuan checked his breath and let out a sigh of relief. Patriarch Wang Buqing just passed out. Wang Shutai looked disappointed. As an elder of the Wang clan, he's completely useless. Fainting just from having medicine applied. "Guangyuan, please take him back to Chang'an." "All right." Without delay, Lu Guangyuan carried Wang Buqing and left the clinic. Wang Shutai and the others thanked Sun Simiao and also left. Sun Simiao looked at the bowl of red and black powder, then chuckled and muttered, "Was it really that painful?" He sniffed the secret medicine, which gave off a strong chilly smell, making him sneeze. Clicking his tongue, he said, "TSK, probably in 2 days, the area around that ear will start rotting." Though he didn't feel entirely proud of what he did, Sun Simiao had no regrets. Who told those old guys to stir up trouble? Sanha village was doing just fine, and they just had to come and make a mess. Suddenly, over 20 people poured into Sanha village's school. Having known the background in advance, Zhang Xuekue came out of the office upon hearing the commotion and asked, "Who are you? What are you doing at our school?" Wang Shutai sized up Zhang Xuekue, then asked arrogantly with hands behind his back, "Who's in charge of this school?" Zhang Xuekue smiled, "I'm the dean of Sanha village school. May I ask what you need, elder?" Wang Shutai said, "I'm the patriarch of the Taiyuan Wang clan. I heard that Sanha village offers free education, so I came to observe." Lu Yuxing added, "I'm the patriarch of the Fanyang Lu clan." "I'm the patriarch of the Xingyangzheng clan," Zheng Yu also declared. In the past, seeing so many prestigious Confucian elders at once would have made Zhang Xuekue nervous. But with Qingxiu backing him, and already annoyed at these people, he appeared calm. Zhang Xuekue smiled steadily, "So it's the patriarchs of the Wang, Lu, and Zheng clans, renowned families in the Tang dynasty. Your libraries must be vast. How can our small village school compare? There's nothing worth observing here." Wang Shutai said coldly, "If there's nothing worth observing, why keep this school open and mislead the youth? You should shut it down." Zhang Xuekue laughed, "To be honest, I was invited by Lord Qing to manage this school. I have no authority to shut it down. Besides, what to learn is a student's choice. As long as there are people willing to learn, then it has value. How can that be called misleading?" Lu Yuxing said coldly, "You said earlier that our 3 clans hold most of the nation's books. How can your little village school compare to our academies? Isn't that misleading the youth?" Just then, the office door opened. Qingxiu walked out with his cane, smiling, "Even if Sanha village school is misleading, what does that have to do with you?" From the crowd, Zhang Taiming stepped forward and whispered, "Patriarchs, this is Lord Qingxiu, the Marquis of Zhenghua." Lu Yuxing, holding his divine pen, stepped forward, pointed to the group behind him, and said, "Since ancient times, teaching is no trivial matter. In the Tang Empire, all schools charge tuition. You shamelessly promote free education, disrupting the system. Your school has only a few books, while our families hold hundreds or thousands more. Who here doesn't have hundreds of volumes at home? You promote free education. If all students come here and learn only your few books, the loss of tradition is one thing, but if they all turn out mediocre and the emperor has no talents to use, can you bear that responsibility?" Inside the office, Li Yuan frowned at Li Er, who smirked and said quietly, "These clans are really good at throwing accusations." Li Yuan chuckled, "Let's see how Qing Boy responds." The 2 teachers leaned on the window, watching with great interest. Right from the start, a big hat was thrown on his head. Qingxiu couldn't help but laugh. Aren't you meddling too much? Scholars across the land have the freedom to choose what they want to study. Besides, what I'm doing doesn't really count as free education. The tuition fees of these students are all paid in advance by me. Hearing this, Lu Yuxing sneered coldly. Marquis Qing is really rich. Since you're so eager to cover tuition, why don't we send you tens of thousands of students and let you cover their fees too? Sure. Qingxiu nodded with a smile. Of course. Just a few tens of thousands of students? I can handle that. The tuition here is just 1 copper coin per year. For tens of thousands of students, that's just tens of thousands of coins. That's nothing for me. Lu Yuxing's expression froze. Wang Shutai said coldly, Old Lu, why waste words with him? He took a step forward and sneered, Marquis Qing, have you heard the story of Li Gang receiving the divine brush in his dream? Qingxiu feigned surprise, of course I have. Such a big event, I've definitely heard of it. Wang Shutai laughed. Master Li Gang was granted a divine brush in a dream, engraved with the words, Orthodox Confucian literature. This is a sign of divine recognition. Who do you think is the true Orthodox Confucian, Master Li Gang or you? Qingxiu nodded. Master Li Gang has the divine brush granted by the heavens. Naturally, he represents Orthodox Confucianism. Wang Shutai laughed. Then can I assume you're saying, whoever possesses the divine brush is the true Confucian orthodoxy? Qingxiu nodded with a smile. Absolutely. I not only think so, I also believe that whoever holds the divine brush has the right to decide who can or cannot teach. Wang Shutai's smile widened. Lu Yuxing muttered, isn't he digging a hole for himself? Zheng Yu chuckled and whispered, Brother Lu, we've long heard Marquis Qing is extremely clever. Seems like his reputation doesn't match the reality. Lu Yuxing nodded, perhaps. Wang Shutai raised his voice, since you admit it, then you should follow the will of heaven. Educating talent for the emperor is the mission of the orthodox. You have no lineage and are not orthodox. Isn't this misleading, students? And again, Sanha Village's school has only a few books. It doesn't meet the qualifications for a proper school. I think you should close it as soon as possible. Qingxiu asked doubtfully, Elder, who told you that Sanha Village School has only a few books? Wang Shutai sneered, I've sent people here at least 10 times. Each time they checked, the entire curriculum consisted of only 4 thin books, each only a few thousand words long. Isn't that so? Qingxiu shook his head and smiled, not true. We have more than 2,000 books in our curriculum. Wang Shutai froze, then burst into laughter. Marquis Qing really loves to joke. Do you take us all for fools? My Taiyuan Wang family has nearly 1,000 years of history, and even we have only about 1,000 volumes. You've been in office for barely half a year, how could you have 2,000 volumes? Those behind him murmured mockingly. Is this Marquis here to joke? He sure talks big. I've spent half a lifetime collecting books and only have 200 or 300 volumes. Him with 2,000? What a joke. Qingxiu smiled. What? You don't believe me? Wang Shutai curled his lip. Of course not. If you really have 2,000 books, show us. If you can really do that, no one will care if you open a school, or even dozens of schools. Qingxiu said, what a coincidence. My 2,000 volumes have been sent to the Imperial Palace for printing. They can't be delivered back anytime soon. Lu Yuxing frowned. You clearly don't have them. A young man like you, why boast like that? At that point, he didn't bother hiding anymore. He pulled out a transparent crystal brush from his robe and held it high, declaring loudly, this is the divine brush granted to Master Li Gang in his dream, a symbol of the true literary orthodoxy. Since you said it yourself, whoever holds the divine brush holds Confucian authority, don't go back on your word now. Then he sneered at Qingxiu. Nearby, Zhang Xuekue felt it was his cue to step in. He looked in awe at the divine brush and said in surprise, is this the divine brush from the heavens? Lu Yuxing replied proudly, exactly. His expression was disdainful, as if saying, never seen anything this fancy, have you? Bumpkin. Suddenly, Zhang Xuekue scratched the back of his head and said, well, if that's the divine brush, then I have one too. You too? Lu Yuxing was stunned and looked at him strangely. Wang Shutai sneered, it's a divine item granted by immortals, there's only one in the world. You having one? Ridiculous. Zhang Xuekue blinked and smiled, believe it or not, I really have one that looks exactly the same. If you don't believe me, I'll go get it right now. He turned and walked into the office. When he returned, he was holding a crystal brush. He stepped into the crowd, raised it high, and said, take a look, everyone, doesn't this look exactly the same as that gentleman's divine brush? Everyone looked, and were stunned. Whoa, it really was identical. Lu Yuxing was dumbfounded. How is this possible? It's exactly the same. Wang Shutai was in disbelief. No, that's impossible. How could his brush be the same as ours? Zheng Yu was frozen, then rushed forward to inspect it. When he saw the engraving, his face changed dramatically. It's not just the appearance, even the inscription is the same, Orthodox Confucian literature. This is. Wang Shutai felt a sinking feeling. Lu Yuxing felt a sinking feeling. Zheng Yu felt a sinking feeling. All three suddenly had a very bad feeling. When they saw Qingxiu standing not far away, smiling, the bad feeling intensified. Zhang Xuekui said dismissively, "It's just a crystal brush. Our Sanha village school has plenty of them. Maybe not 1,000, but at least 800 or 900. Impossible." Lu Yuxing shouted, shaking his head, "This is a divine gift, how could there be hundreds or thousands?" Zhang Xuekui smiled, "I knew you wouldn't believe me. I'll show you right now. Then you'll know I'm not lying. Please follow me." He quickly walked toward the school. The three clan leaders and the scholars looked at each other, all confused. Lu Yuxing gritted his teeth, "Let's go check it out." Everyone followed Zhang Xuekui into a classroom. When they entered, they were all dumbfounded. Inside were 30 to 40 students, all 7 or 8 years old. Each held a divine brush in their hands. The patriarchs of the three major clans suddenly felt their blood pressure spike. There were about 30 to 40 students in the classroom, and each of them held a crystal jade brush. The scene was extremely impressive. The three clan patriarchs and the gathered great scholars were stunned on the spot. The crystal jade brushes in their hands are exactly the same as the one Elder Lu is holding? Heavens, how can there be so many divine brushes? That divine brush was bestowed to Master Li Gang by an immortal in a dream. Could all of these be bestowed by immortals too? This is impossible, absolutely impossible, this is just too many. The great scholars whispered among themselves, some in disbelief, others showing greed in their eyes. Wang Shutai, Lu Yuxing, and Zheng Yu were frozen in place. Among them, the most shocked were the three old patriarchs. Zhang Xuekui smiled and said, "I didn't deceive you, did I? Look, all the students at the school are using divine brushes." The oldest, Zheng Yu, suddenly felt dizzy and his body swayed. His face turned pale like wax. Wang Shutai, as if mad, rushed up to a student and grabbed the brush from his hand to examine it closely. On the crystal brush were 4 tiny characters, "Thoughts spring forth." Trembling all over, he grabbed another student's brush, this one read, "Master of the Forum." Then the next? Sudden enlightenment. And then? True Confucian orthodoxy, the exact same inscription as the one on Li Gang's divine brush. Heavens! Wang Shutai cried to the sky and spat a mouthful of blood, falling stiffly backward. If not for 2 elderly scholars who reacted quickly, he might have been injured for life. Lu Yuxing turned deathly pale, trembling all over, with one thought flashing in his mind, "We've been tricked." Zheng Yu, his face ashen, said with a shaking voice, "Old Lu, we've been duped." At this moment, Qingxiu walked in from outside, smirking slightly. "According to what the Marquis just said, whoever possesses a divine brush represents the Confucian orthodoxy and has the right to decide who can teach and who can't. And all of you agreed with that. Why don't you look again? Every student at Sanha Village's school has a divine brush. They are all true Confucian orthodoxy. If we're being strict, these students are more qualified to teach than any of you." Everyone's faces turned very unpleasant. Lu Yuxing suddenly turned to glare and grit his teeth. "It was you, wasn't it?" Qingxiu frowned. "What are you barking about? Marquis doesn't understand." "It was you." Lu Yuxing pointed at Qingxiu, furious. "You set us up. Didn't you?" Qingxiu laughed. "You can eat anything, but don't speak nonsense. The ink flavor pavilion is the Marquis business. These crystal brushes were made by the Marquis. The Marquis sells them, you buy them. How is that a trap?" Zheng Yu roared, "The story about Li Gang being granted a divine brush in a dream must have been your invention. Why? We have no grudge with you. Why set us up?" Qingxiu sneered, "You old men really have no shame. No grudge? Look clearly, whose territory is this? Who came uninvited? Who barged in demanding the Marquis shut down the school and stop offering free education? Ha, classic case of the villain acting first." Zheng Yu trembled with anger. Then, eyes rolled back, he too fainted. Heavens! Lu Yuxing slumped to the ground, crying, "My priceless books, over 70 volumes, all gone just like that." Qingxiu leaned forward, face mocking, "Old Master Lu, the Marquis told you Sanha village has over 2,000 books. Do you believe it now?" "My books, those books were mine." Lu Yuxing got up, eyes red, and lunged. "I'll kill you. I'll kill you, you scoundrel. You liar." Qingxiu's face changed, and he shouted, "Assassin! Protect me. There's an assassin." Everyone froze. Lu Yuxing, already driven mad with rage, ignored the words and charged forward. Qingxiu's lips curled coldly. He raised his leg and kicked straight at Lu Yuxing's chest. With a muffled boom, Lu Yuxing flew backward, crashed through the door, and landed outside. In that moment, Lu Yuxing regained clarity, but it was too late. His eyes bulged, he struggled to get up, but failed. After a few spasms, he stopped breathing altogether. The elderly scholars gasped and didn't dare breathe. Qingxiu put on a flustered face and said, "You all saw it. This old guy dared to assassinate a marquis of the current dynasty. Thankfully I reacted quickly or he would have succeeded. All of you can testify." The scholars gulped hard. Qingxiu's tone clearly held threat. Even Li Er, who was peeking from outside, was startled. He glanced at Li Yuan and smiled bitterly. This brat is getting more and more out of hand. Li Yuan grinned, "Haha. Good kick. Erlang, it's your cue." Li Er paused, then understood. He straightened his attire and strode into the classroom. Even before entering, he shouted in anger, "Who dares be so bold as to assassinate a marquis? Do you not know this is a crime that implicates your whole family?" He marched in with authority. Qingxiu quickly cupped his hands. "Your servant greets your majesty. Forgive me for not welcoming you earlier." The scholars were all stunned and turned their eyes to the imposing man. "That's the emperor? He's the emperor?" Someone quickly realized and bowed. "Commoner greets your majesty." "Greetings, your majesty." Soon, everyone was bowing. Li Er casually waved, "No need for formality. I just heard that someone attempted to assassinate Marquis Qing. This is outrageous. Until the matter is investigated, no one may leave." He turned to Qingxiu with concern, "Marquis Zhenghua, are you hurt?" Qingxiu replied with lingering fear, "Your Majesty, I was not injured, just frightened." Li Er's mouth twitched. He really knows how to act. But he didn't show any of this on his face. He asked with a grim look, "Where is the assassin?" Qingxiu pointed outside. "In the panic, I kicked him. He's outside." Li Er scanned the room and asked, "Does anyone recognize the man outside?" Everyone fell into silence, glancing around. Li Er shouted, "I'm asking a question. If you know and don't report, you'll be punished as an accomplice." The scholars were terrified. "We just came to watch, and now we're being charged as assassin accomplices?" Preserving one's life comes first. At this critical moment, they didn't care about the status of the 5 surnames and 7 great clans. One by one, they rushed to identify the suspect. "Your Majesty, the one who tried to assassinate the Marquis of Zhenghua was Lu Yuxing, patriarch of the Fanyang Lu clan." Yes, I saw it. Lu Yuxing tried to assassinate the Marquis and was kicked away by him." "Your Majesty, this commoner can testify. It's all true." "Your Majesty." Li Er waved his hand and nodded in satisfaction. "You are all good and honest citizens of the Tang dynasty. I believe none of you would lie. Everyone here is a witness to this assassination attempt. You must be available to testify when called." Yes, I am a witness. I will tell everything I know." "Your Majesty, this commoner is willing to testify." "So am I." Li Er shouted outside, "Wang De, come in." Wang De quickly entered with a few guards. Li Er pointed to the corpse outside and ordered, "Send the body to the Dali Temple. Also, take all of these people to the Dali Temple. Furthermore, send someone to Fanyang immediately and arrest all direct descendants of the Lu clan related to Lu Yuxing. Bring them to Chang'an. To dare assassinate a current marquis, this is outrageous. Marquis Qing, don't worry, I will definitely uphold justice for you." Qingxiu cupped his hands. "Thank you, Your Majesty." After Wang De had everyone taken away, Li Er looked at Qingxiu and couldn't help but burst out laughing. Qingxiu said with a smile, "Congratulations, Your Majesty. Now that the Lu family is branded with the crime of assassinating a marquis, at the very least, they'll face execution of the entire clan. They can be removed from the 5 surnames and 7 great clans." Li Er beamed with joy. "This is all thanks to Marquis Qing. Without you, I wouldn't have had such a great opportunity." Lu Yuxing could never have imagined that his impulsive action would bring disaster upon his entire clan. After chatting for a while, Li Er instructed, "Marquis Qing, prepare the flying device as soon as possible. After the Lu family is sentenced, I will personally ascend to the skies and drop leaflets." "Certainly." After sending off Li Er, Qingxiu, in great spirits, summoned Erguzi and Taizhu. He gave them a list, and they went to prepare the items. Actually, the items were simple, just some windproof cloth. Though there were no materials for real windproof fabric yet, pig bladders could be glued inside canvas to serve as a substitute. This was material for making a hot air balloon. In the following days, Qingxiu lived leisurely. He spent time in Sanha village with his wives and concubines, secretly had a tryst with Lu Yunyan, and occasionally teased the Turkic princess Ashina Yu at the Qing mansion. Life was both relaxing and pleasant. The crystal accessories auctioned at Ink Flavor Pavilion became wildly popular among Chang'an's noble women. A single small crystal pendant sold for several thousand, even over 10,000 copper coins. In just a month, Qingxiu earned over 1 million copper coins. The batch of crystal brushes also became highly sought after by scholars. In 1 month, over 2 million copper coins worth were sold. As more and more crystal products entered the market, they gradually shifted toward being common consumer goods. Although they were becoming common, they still weren't cheap. A crystal bead still cost several hundred to 1,000 coins. But the price was gradually decreasing, showing that people no longer found crystal as novel as before. The case of the Fanyang Lu clan attempting to assassinate the Marquis of Zhenghua caused a huge uproar across the scholarly world. Just a few days ago, over 300 direct descendants of the Lu family were beheaded. The vegetable market in West City ran red with blood. Lier's actions were clearly meant to kill the chicken to scare the monkey. With the Lu family wiped out, Wang Shutai and Zheng Yu seemed to be scared out of their wits. They quietly returned to their hometowns in disgrace and no longer dared challenge imperial authority. Because most of their collections had been swindled away, the Taiyuan Wang and Xingyangzheng families could be removed from the 5 surnames and 7 clans. Once proud aristocratic families had been reduced to second-rate clans overnight, all because of a single jade brush. On the carriage back to Taiyuan, Wang Shutai held Wang Wuqing's hand sadly and asked, "Wuqing, if you have any final wishes, tell me. If I can do it, I will fulfill them." Wang Wuqing, lying in the carriage, looked deathly pale. Half of his face had rotted away, looking terrifying. The carriage reeked of foul odor. Of course, this was the result of chili powder and black gunpowder. After Sun Simiao applied his medicine, Wang Wuqing's face started to rot within days. Though he sought other doctors, it was all in vain. Wang Wuqing weakly said, "Cousin, the only thing I can't let go of is revenge. You must avenge me." Wang Shutai's expression stiffened. He forced a bitter smile and shook his head. "Wuqing, don't make it hard on me. Have you forgotten that just days ago, the Lu family was executed to the last man? If it were just the Marquis of Zhenghua, the Wang family might still compete with him. But as you know, His Majesty supports him to a terrifying extent." Wang Wuqing's body trembled a few times. Suddenly, his eyes widened, and he struggled to say, "If I don't kill him, I won't die in peace." Then his neck tilted, and he died. Today was a good day, because old Zhang the knife had returned. The dark-skinned Zhang Laodao led a skinny old horse and stopped at Qingxiu's gate. Seeing him, Xuanzi happily went to notify Qingxiu. Qingxiu came out. Seeing the thin and dark Zhang Laodao, he couldn't help but feel guilty. "Old knife, the journey must have been hard. Come in and rest. I'll have the cook prepare food and drink to welcome you." Although Zhang Laodao looked a bit rough, his spirit was high. He laughed heartily. "It wasn't hard, just got tanned a bit. The scenery along the way was beautiful. This trip to Nanjiao was worth it." Qingxiu nodded and asked, "There were no issues, right? Where's Li Yuqing?" Zhang Laodao smiled and shook his head. "What problems could there be? Miss Li went there and everything went smoothly. On the day she arrived, the old leader of the Wuzhu sect died, and she successfully took over as the new leader. A few opposed her, but I killed them all." He glanced around, especially into the courtyard, and after confirming none of Qingxiu's wives were present, he leaned in and said with a grin, "My lord, Miss Li left the village in the hands of her trusted aides and came back with me. But she's staying at the Red Sleeve Lodge for now. She said she's afraid your wives might see her and make things awkward for you. She told you to come find her when you're free." Qingxiu's heart stirred. He couldn't help but recall Li Yuqing's mature charm and curvaceous figure. He decided he'd find an excuse tonight to go see his long-lost lover.
Did you enjoy the story, guys? I hope you did. Support this video with a like and a comment. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks for watching and see you next time.